Mhm. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Amen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, Kofi, ça va? Ni hao, namaste, Ohio, I see you. Um, uh, namaste, uh, Akwapa, Itasen. Jambo, habari, mimi ni Kofi ninafurahi kukutana na wewe. Kwam Yashrel, Shalom, Teda, Yashrel, Ana Kofi, Mashalam Khe. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thank you for being on today. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And we come before you one more again with another message today. And I'm excited about this one. I'm excited, but also I will warn you up front, this might be one of those ouch, not amen type messages. But prayerfully, you'll be able to stick through it. We thank you guys so much for being on one more again. We appreciate you. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your gifts, um, your messages, donations, work behind the scenes. If you're first time with us, one time, many, etc., we appreciate you. As always, we give all honor to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree, for those that need a little extra oomph. The tinctures, she has many different tinctures, or which are natural medicines that are concentrated to help you, that she forages by hand and creates by hand. However, the tincture of the month is still anxiety release, but there are many. If you would like to be able to find out about those, please feel free to contact her. Once again, you can contact her at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. You can also add the number 1 to that, Bloom and Flourish 1 at gmail.com. And you can actually text her as well at 410-469-1553. Again, that is 410-469-1553. Again, I say 410-469-1553. Last time, 410-469-1553. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's say hello to everybody real quick. How you guys doing? Everybody showing up. Awesome. How y'all doing? Sister Irena in the house. How you doing? Lynette, Trauma Shama. How you doing, my brother? Chuckma Speaks. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Dante, how you doing? Minister Shante, everybody, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you. Barak Allah, Cham Yahweh. May the blessings be upon thee in the name of Yahweh. Let me keep on going. Miss Mac, IG_truth, Big Brother Thomas. I can't remember. Is it Mies? I don't know if it's Michi, Mies. I apologize. But thanks for being on. How you doing, Sister Monica, Sister Rhea, Yasanma? Doing well, doing better. I had a little limp yesterday. Was jumping up and down on hardwood floor, messed up the bottom of my foot, but I'm doing all right. How you doing, Keith? How you doing, Nay? How you doing? Is it Bachan or Bacon? I'm not sure. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Bachan 15. Money Green. Amon, the Most High is the greatest. Miss Pierce, Brother Alton, thanks for being part of the community. Chris. I'm doing well, PD Blackhorn. Thanks for being on. Shiso Israel, Alice. Alrighty. If I miss your name, please charge it to my head and not to my heart. Oh, Misi. Okay, Misi. I'll try to remember that. All right, thank you for that. Mo Desire, Brightborn, Yashia Israel, Grand Rising to everybody. Hello. We are excited. Aman, Ashe. All right, let's get into this word. So once again, I'm just gonna be honest and upfront with y'all. This word might be more ouch than amen, one of those type words, but it's something that we need to get in our psyche. And I want to talk to you guys today about the invitation. The invitation. That's what we're going to call this today, is the invitation. You have been invited to something. You have been called. The word called means to be invited. How you doing, Tyler? Thanks for being on. The word called means to be invited. Bachon? In Japanese. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. It means, oh, okay, it means grandma in Japanese. Okay, awesome. I don't know if I'm saying it right either, but thank you still. But thank you for being on. How you doing, King Wins? And Brother Alton, is it _? Ikadesh. I'm not sure how the pronunciation you go by, but thank you for being on. I appreciate you. So today we're going to talk about the invitation. And I'm excited to talk about it because you have been invited. And I don't really do invitations. Sometimes we do invitations at the end of some of our services on Zoom and stuff like that. But but invitation, and a lot of people talk about the invitation at the end of a service. How you doing, Sister Betty? Right, exactly. But you were called. The word called means invited. Even in the Greek, it means kletos. Right? You have been invited. But do you know everything you've been invited to? This is when vision is important and purpose is important, and therefore you can have proper value. A lot of people want vision. A lot of people say they don't know their purpose. A lot of people say they don't know the value that's on their life, or they live as if they don't have the proper value on their life. But we want to make sure that we have vision, purpose, and value, which means we have to comprehend invitation, right? So some of you have been with us a while, right? Some of you longer than others. How you doing, Concrete Rose One? So let's ask a question real quick to make sure that everybody has the same foundation before we start bouncing around in this word and stuff like that in this message. Question: what does the word phone mean? What is phone? Before there was a telephone, there was a phone. What is a phone? And shalom, everybody, come on in. Bakwatav to everybody. Barak Allah cham yachavet. Aman. The word phone comes from the Greek word phone. Phone means, and how you doing, I am Black Sheep? The word phone means voice. So if the word, how you doing, Urban Royalty? I tried to send you a DM about the meetup, and and I didn't mention that once again. Those who were in Georgia, we're gonna try and be in Atlanta around 12. We're gonna try to be somewhere between Macon and Thomasville. We'll have to. We've been sending the addresses out to some, but I'll make sure everybody by the end of the day has it. But if you want to come to the meetup, we're gonna be meeting up somewhere between Macon and Thomasville, and we're gonna be meeting somewhere in between. We're gonna be meeting in the Atlanta. So we're gonna be meeting in the Atlanta area around noon at and we're going to be meeting somewhere between Thomasville and Macon. I'll give you guys the address. Everybody who we have your DM and stuff will be sending out to your DM. Some of you will get it because you get the Google Calendar invite, but we'll have the address for you, and that one we'll probably be meeting like somewhere, probably to be safe, like 6 or 7. I was trying to do like 5 or 6, but just to make it safe, 6 or 7, so we can have time with Atlanta traffic and all that stuff. I know it's a Saturday, so sometimes it's better, but the timing, it depends on when you're leaving. So just to give you guys a heads up. How you doing, Sister Deborah? Right? So if we know that phone means phone and call means invited, when somebody's doing a phone or somebody gets a phone call, we get in essence say when you get a phone call, you get a invitation to a voice or a voice invitation. Oh, no problem, Sister Betty. We're going to try to do something closer to you at some point coming up soon. Right. Oh, also, too, this Saturday coming up, no SOC meeting, but we will have, and we're going to move it to 11 a.m. so we can be on time. But 11 a.m., all the people in Florida, 11 a.m., we're going to have a meetup on Zoom. Okay. So you'll get that information if you're interested. Search your DMs, your Google Calendar invite, maybe even some text. But we will have a meeting, a Zoom meeting just for everybody in Florida, 11 a.m. All right? Okay. All righty. And keep praying for the Roberts family. That reminds me of that. And thank you guys for on prayer this rising. I couldn't make it. I'm praying. I was praying for you guys, and I let Minister Nice know early. So hopefully all went well with prayer. Amen. Right? Oh, you responded? You go. Amen. I'll meet you in the hubby. All righty. That's what's up. All righty. I'm excited. Okay. So that's y'all family for real. I get excited when I get to finally meet some of this family in person. All right, cool. So a phone call. Let me get back. I get so excited about y'all. I won't start teaching. All right. So a phone call is phone is voice, call is invitation. So if you get a phone call, you're getting an invitation to a voice, right? The question is, will you pick up the phone? Right? Right? Or a distant voice, sure. Or connected with sound or connected to a voice, right? How you doing, Sister Sharice? So a phone call is saying, I have been invited to pick up the voice, or I haven't been invited to have to know the voice, right? Amen. We'll try to even remember prayer, pray for you towards the end. Amen, for sure. Right? So a phone call means I'm invited to the voice. Right? Now, telephone means what? That the voice, the phone, has been teleported to you. So if I get a telephone call, how you doing, Sister Saul? If I get a telephone call, what is that saying? No, Aman, thank you for the blessing. Appreciate you. Thank you for the blessing. Right? So if I get a telephone call, it means that somebody has teleported a voice and I'm invited to pick up what's been teleported. You see how etymology really blesses you when you really start getting into this word? How you doing, Cream_81? How you doing? I missed somebody on there. Drea. I don't think I said hello to you earlier. So a telephone call is when somebody has teleported the invitation to you that you could pick up the voice. So somebody says pick up the phone, they're in essence saying pick up the voice or pick up the device, right, that allows you to get the phone now, or allows you to hear the voice. Now, what is a device? Somebody help me. What is a device? Right? We got to lay this out to make sure that we get this properly. What is a device? Somebody help me out. What is a device? A device. DE space VICE. What is that? It's a compound word. And how you doing? Is it Sal? Thanks for being on. Grand Rising. A device is when I deconstruct a vice. So a vice is what? A vice has a grip on you, a hold on you. A thing designed for a certain purpose, sure, objects made for a purpose, right? But a device is what? A vice is something that grips and has a hold on me. Come on, somebody, we're gonna get this, right? A vice is something that has a hold on me. So if I give you a device, what I'm trying to do is give you something that allows you to be a little more free, right? Exactly, separate from that vice, separate from that grip. Today we're talking about the invitation. Come on, right? A device is something, I know what they say, I know what the modern stuff is, and that's true. Modern, we would just think of it as an instrument. But these instruments or these things that have been created or these things that have been patented, whatever, these things are supposed to be there. What is technology supposedly supposed to do? It is supposed to make a grip on something that's harder should make it easier. You see that? Right? There are electronic devices. There are physical devices. There are non-electronic devices, right? You might not know this, but technically a hammer is a device, right? It makes life easier when building some things. How you doing, Brother TJ? Aman, right? That's a Salah right there. Aman. How you doing, Brother Henry? Right? If I have a device, now watch this. So if I have a device, hallelujah, I'm excited about it. It's going to be ouch in a second, but we're going to make sure that we get this correct, right? In the meantime, if I have a device, right, it should be something that helps me to deconstruct something that is difficult or has a hold on me. It should be something that allows something to not be gripped on me, the fears, the anxiety, right? Different things, right? There's a device that's there. How you doing, Sister Nadine? There's a device. I need to have some vices deconstructed. How you doing, Jacobo Stalwart? Appreciate your presence, as always. So if I have a device, it should be something that's there to help me deconstruct things that have a grip or make it hard or make it difficult, right? So now if somebody gives me a telephone call, right, right, if somebody uses a telephone as a device to call me, how you doing, Sister Stella? Praise y'all for you, right? If somebody gives me a telephone as a device so I can accept the call, what I'm saying is if somebody's teleporting, right, a voice to me, that and this device allows me to not have a hard time being able to contact somebody that might not be as close as I think they are, at least physically, but I can still be able to what? Accept the invitation. And once I accept the invitation, now we can have conversation. All right. So we're talking about the invitation today. See, You haven't been invited to something that is greater, right? And it's not that you have a vice that's the problem. We don't use the device correctly to be able to accept the call. See, now once I accept the call, I accept the invitation. Once I accept the call, if I call somebody like Kletos, right? If I call somebody, hey, Minister Tamara, she can respond or not. How you doing, Sister Judith? Y'all catch that? If I say, hey, Minister Shantae, she can respond or not. If I come on at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time, praise y'all for y'all, right? Because you chose to respond, but you could respond or not. You hear what I'm saying? See, we do this thing backwards sometimes. Let's make sure we have this thing together. See, you don't have to respond to the invitation. That's why when people say, oh, you know, when my how you doing, Sister Tracy? My child is going through this, and since my child is going through that, the Most High must not be real. See, if the Most High was real, he wouldn't allow my child to go through suffering. Well, he invited you to take care of that child. Could it be that maybe you fed your child some stuff that you shouldn't have fed them? And if so, is that his fault? Did he invite you to eat that? Did he invite you to eat that? Did he invite you to have your child have Motrin to the point to where now babies are having seizures? Was that his invitation to you? There's going to be some ouch, right? Did he invite you to marriage? Because in our culture, sex is marriage, marriage is sex. Did he invite you to all that marriage you've been having? Accountability. Invitation comes with accountability, right? An express intent or desire, okay? Or desire, right? Did he call you to that? We have to ask ourselves questions. See, because the only reason why some of the stuff that's on you is because you called it. People don't want to go there. See, the only reason why some of this stuff is going on is because you called it. Y'all don't want to hear that. Right? You might have called some things. No, I got you. I actually liked it. You should have faked like you said it. No, I liked it. I actually thought like the desire. I was like, man, that's a word. See, some of the things you've called, you've given an invitation. You give it an invitation. Oh, well, it was this person. Can you comprehend? Can you believe that they did that to me or whatever? What is your actions doing? Can you believe I was with this joker for 10 years and he ain't even want to get married? You know, you were married because y'all were having sex, but it was not lawful marriage. They did not deserve your marriage. You did not look to see if they were qualified as a husband. You did not look to see if they were qualified as a wife. Because in our culture, in our device, it makes it easier when it tells you that sex is marriage, marriage is sex, and you're supposed to be pre-qualified. He who finds a wife invites a great thing and shall obtain favor from a dawn. Y'all don't want to talk to me this rising. They don't. I told the Holy Spirit, I told you, they're not gonna want to hear this rising. But I'm just being real with you. Like, see, you called it. And then talking about why did it come? Why did you invite this? How you doing, Brother Teran, if I didn't say so already? How you doing, Truth is Life? See, there might be some things that you called. You got to ask yourself, why did I call this? How did I call this? You like it when somebody says, the law of attraction. If I speak it, it will come. If I speak it, it will come. What have you been speaking? My back is killing me. Yeah, I guess it is. We got Holy Spirit. I'm gonna be obedient. I told the Holy Spirit everybody wasn't gonna want to hear this today, but we got to be honest about this. See, what did you call? Elijah rained down fire from heaven. He called it. You see that? He rained down fire because he called it. If you watch sports, right? If you watch sports, if you're into sports, we want to know the play call. A lot of times y'all want to go at whoever the quarterback is and this and that and what they said and they threw it and this person sucks now because he threw this many interceptions. What did the coach call? Sometimes it's a bad call. And it doesn't matter what the quarterback does. It doesn't matter how he reads the play. It doesn't matter if they were in cover 3 or cover 1 or cover 2. It doesn't matter if it was 4-3 or 3-4. It doesn't matter if they faked it or showed it. It doesn't matter, because if the routes are bad, right? Now the problem is the call. See, what am I saying? So you can still give blame to the quarterback, but don't give blame to the quarterback because the quarterback threw a bad interception. Give blame to the quarterback because he could have adjusted the call. It's called an audible. If I get a call in the headset, if I go ahead and read the call, right? I forget what this is called, forgive me, but on the arm, right? If I read the call and I go to the line and I see that the linebacker is coming in, but then when I start giving my cadence, right, and he starts backing up and I see, oh, wait a minute, he's going back into coverage, I can immediately give an audible and say, hey, we're going to run this thing. And I turn around and hand the ball off. And even though we might only get 6 yards, right, it's better than us getting the interception, because I have to read the call. I've got to know how to interpret the call. You can't quarterback. Everybody want to play quarterback, but nobody wants to even deal with calls, to study the playbook, to comprehend when should I call an audible. How you doing, Spike Me Too? How you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know. Is it UIFO Tech? I don't know if I said that correctly. UFIO Tech. Thanks for being on. And my wife is on, the Honorable Maya. Once again, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Today, we're talking about the invitation. We keep blaming everybody else, but have you accepted the call is the question for today. Have you accepted the call is the question for today. Have you accepted the call is the question today. And do you know what it comes with? What call have you accepted? Some of you have accepted some calls that have messed you up, and you busy talking about the devil made me do it and stuff like that. Get your accountability in order. You need to be able to call the play. And when you call the play, then what comes next after the call? Execution. After you call the play, what comes next? Execution. Y'all don't want to hear. I told you, Holy Spirit, it's gonna hurt today. It's gonna hurt today, but it's gonna be what they used to say is tight, but it's right. It's tight, but it's right. I promise you. If you can get this call in your system, if you can get this call in your system, if you can get this call in your system, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right, but you gotta know how to accept the call. A lot of us are not aware of the acceptance of the call. And this year, if we're going to look beyond what we see, you got to be able to read the field, to be able to know where the ball needs to go. We're going to learn today, right? You got to accept the call. How you doing, Sister Deja? Right? You're busy not knowing what coverage is out there, but then trying to go against the enemy. You haven't read the playbook yet. But today you have an invitation. We're going to talk about the invitation. You've been invited to do some things and do some things differently. And yes, you know what? Yes, you will have people that will come against it. Yes, you will have people that say you don't know you're talking about. You know why? Because they don't know the playbook. They don't know the playbook. They don't know the difference between a goal line stance and a 4-3 stance and a 3-4 stance. They don't know what 3 tight end means. If I got 3 tight ends coming up, it means that somebody, more than likely, we're running the ball. If you throw the ball when you got 3 tight ends, like that's kind of surprising. Yes. That's why we had people that would even make sure that before we got married, right? You were supposed to talk to your parents before marriage. Why? Because they were supposed to know what marriage was. They were supposed to know if you were married. They were supposed to know if you were qualified. They were supposed to know if the other person was qualified. Now you just come to your parents, Mom, Dad, if you really love me the way that you say you do, you'll just accept this person who you've never met before, and you'll be happy for me. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? On Team Yashra, this is what marriage is. This is what a husband is. This is what a wife is. If I see that that's not a husband or a wife, I'm supposed to tell you that ain't it. But oh, no. You need to just support whatever I'm doing. You need to just be there for me. If you're not there for me, then you must not love me. What? What? How you doing, Sister Bree? Problem, yeah, where they do that at for real, right? Now, see, problem is though, a lot of us do that, right? The knocking ceremony. Somebody comes to the house. Hey, we're supposed to talk marriage, and we're supposed to talk what you have, and what you're gonna be able to give my daughter, and how are you gonna be able to support the mission of my son, and what's gonna happen, and are you willing to be submissive? Submission is not submission. Remember, you're not submitted to a man; you're submitted to a mission, right? So, can you help in the mission? If you can't help in the mission, I'm sorry to tell you that I don't think this is the one for you. You might want to leave this alone. You might want to leave them alone. Matter of fact, if I talk to you long enough and I realize what you're doing and I realize what my child is or isn't, I might tell you straight up, look, my child is not ready for you. Right? See, people want unconditional love. No such thing. We talked about that plenty of times before. How you doing, Brooklyn Butterfly? You got to become aware, right? Education, then execution. Yeah. See, you don't know how to execute. You haven't been educated. What is education? Education means I reach inside somebody, I pull out what's in there, the potential, I show it to you, I put it back in, and I say, do you want to go ahead and meet your full potential? That's what a guide is. A marach is somebody who knows the Tarach, the Savar, Rabbi, Helet. We are supposed to know these things. We are supposed to know how to guide you. But people don't want to come there. See, people want unconditional love because you haven't read the playbook. So when somebody invites you to love, you start talking about something that's not in the invitation. It's not in the description. See, every invitation comes with a description. Did you know that? Let's drop some of that for you. Let's drop a little bit, some gems that you can pick up and put in your back pocket and use them later on. The name of the herbalist, that's my wife, Bloom and Flourish. Bloom like a rose, Bloom, the letter N, F, and then Flourish, Flourish. You can reach her on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest. Okay? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Minister Shante. Appreciate you. Right? So, and how you doing, Weston Fabulous? Appreciate your presence. Right? So and how you doing, Baby Trooper? So people want unconditional love because you don't know what comes with the invitation. You're unaware what comes with the invitation. I want to get married. There's an invitation to marriage. What comes with the invitation? See, we don't think about it that way. So when you hold yourself accountable for not knowing the word, that hits different. Yeah, right? Now, look, some people taught us things wrong for sure. And that's part of accountability, right? Burden of proof, put it where it belongs. A lot of it we want to take off ourselves. So if I can finally get this to where it's the most high, I've taken it off myself, right? His burden is light, his yoke is easy. He can deal with it. How you doing, Ernie's Heart? So you're dealing with a lot of stuff, Yashra. But it's time to Kwam, Yashra. Time to come out of where you are. Time to come out of lasciviousness, of high-mindedness, of having a form of Elohim and denying the power thereof. You've been invited. We're talking about the invitation. Remember, T-I-O-N on the word, it makes it a noun, a person, a place, or thing. So you have become an invitation. If you do it right, you can walk into a place of invitation and you can give something that is invitation. Are you ready to become the invitation? When you do things, is your life something that invites somebody to something greater? How you doing, the Leo son? Right? Is your life something that is great enough to invite somebody to something greater? When your presence is there, when you speak a word, when you love others, when you love your family, when people see you with your spouse, when people see you with your children, when people see you reading your word, when people see just you walking in a room, something about you says, I need some of that. How you doing, user 584? How you doing, brother Dwayne? How you doing, Jeremy? Right? Like do you hear what I'm saying? Right? There are people that might not like there are people that I've seen, right? And I'm one to talk, right? But there are people that I've seen to where their appearance might not be something that I like, but you know what? I'll still be like, wow, they're bold enough to be themselves. I like that. It invites me to say I might not choose that desired appearance, but I still will show up as who I am. Therefore, yeah, even when you love yourself, see, when you love you, there you go. When you love yourself, you can love others. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Elohim Alaf, Ahaba Elohim, or love him with all what? Thy heart, thy soul, thy mind, and thy strength. That's the first of all commandments. Second, like it is this, to love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Come on. Come on, Bad Yashlev. Come on, Bad at Zion, right? Come on, Bad at Zion, right? Come on, children of Zion. Like, you must comprehend who you are. If I love me, I invite people to love me. You missed that. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. You say, if I love my neighbor, then it means I love myself. And that's true, right? Because however you love your neighbor, it's an indication of how you love yourself. But also, if I love me, then ain't too many people that are going to be around me that don't love me. I know there's a balance, because I don't want to talk about going to narcissism, right? But at the same time, I also want to love me so that when people come around me, I'm a joy to be around. I want people to call me. I'm a joy to listen to on the phone. You got to love being a peculiar person, your peculiarity. I'm on. Right? If I love me, see, but there's an invitation. Are you an invitation? Don't nobody listen to me. Don't nobody want, if I was going to do this, if I was going to do that, blah, blah. Yeah, nobody want to be around you, because whenever we're around you, you invite people into misery. You invite people into selfishness. You invite people into listening about you all day. You invite people into a place where nobody is willing to hear from you, even if you got a great word, because you can't say it without narcissism. Well, guess what? If you invite people into narcissism, a system in which narcissistic behavior is acceptable, well, then guess what? I'm not rolling. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much money you make, no matter how great you look, no matter how many muscles you have, I can't be around it. Why? Because even though you could teach me how to build muscle, I can't be around you in the gym if everything's about you. After a while, I'd rather just go ahead and be fat. You know what I'm saying? You've actually invited me to go ahead and leave something that could bless me, because you can't make sure that there you go. You can't make sure you edify. You can't exhort. So I'd rather just go ahead and eat wrong. If this is what coming, right now, if you're going to push me in a direction that's different, but if you're going to push me while pushing me away, if you're pushing me towards getting strength, but pushing me away at the same time, it means that I don't go anywhere. Invitation. And you get mad when people accept your invitation. You cuss people out, then they cuss you back out. Then you say, "Oh, what you think you doing? You deserve to be cussed out." And you cuss them out more, and then they cuss you out more. Then you swing on them, they swing on you, and then you sit there and say, "What happened?" Invitation. You said you don't know, but you're definitely peculiar. And thanks for being part of the community. Is it Davida Tillman? Right? Invitation is crucial. How you doing, Acoustic? Invitation is crucial, right? How you doing, Joseph? Invitation is crucial. What have I been invited to? What comes with this? What if I were to tell you that the Most High has invited you to watch your tongue? Would you accept it? We like all the other invitations, but what if you were invited to be quiet sometimes? Right? And how you doing, Maki? How you doing, Country Girl Princess? How you doing, ladies first? What if you've been invited to listen, to use 2 ears and shut 1 mouth? How you doing, Billy Ray? See, right? What if you've been invited? What if you've been invited to be empathetic? To stop telling somebody why it don't matter, you need to just be better. Stop talking about this. What if you've been somebody to say, hey, I want to know what you're going through? See, this is what people do. This is what people do. They hit us with something crazy. This is what they do. Right? Some of these motivational speakers, they'll go, look, I've been through this. Don't talk to me about this. I ran this many miles. I broke this. I lost my arm. If I can get through this, you can get through this. That was your struggle, baby boy. That was your struggle, baby girl. I'm dealing with it now. And I have this love language, and I've been designed this way. And this is the connection I have with my parent. And this is the environment I was raised in. And so before you start telling me that because we both lost the arm, therefore we both know the same struggles, but I might not deal with that struggle the way that you do. Can you be quiet long enough and stop telling me why the fact that we're both missing arms means that you don't have to listen to what I'm going through? What have you been invited to that? How you doing, Sister Mary? Right? Can you be quiet long enough to use the device that you say you go by? Supposedly, you belong to the Most High, but you can't listen. You said how is it? I'm always aware of using my words. I don't. Yeah, even certain words that you shouldn't use. Watch this. There's certain words that I don't use around some people that I use around others. Because people speak different love languages. It means something different to different people. There's some people that if you say okay, they're like, okay. But if some people you say okay, they say okay. Not even looking for the empathy. Not even looking for it. But are ready to tell everybody why they should listen to them. You can't even be empathetic. Why you invite people to leave because you can't listen. Proverbs 10 verse 19, it says, in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. Some of y'all sinning because you talk too much. What have you been invited to be quiet today and listen? The invitation. See, watch this. Sometimes you can't hear the invitation because you're talking too much. Once again, what does the word phone mean? Phone. It actually means voice. Call means to be invited. So you're invited to pick up the phone. Problem is that so many people are talking, and so you don't even realize your phone is ringing. That was Proverbs chapter 10, verse 19. And thank you, I think it was Sister Bree for giving us that verse. Yeah, I recognize it too. And even because I do so much teaching, what I find is I'll be talking to somebody, and if I'm not careful, I go into teaching mode. I just start talking. And then I have to remind myself, I even apologize to a lot of y'all. You'll hear me say, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. Because I'm going into teaching mode. That's not teaching mode. At that moment, you need to go into another mode, another lane. I haven't been invited to go into teaching mode in that second. I've been invited to listen and then respond and be empathetic before I respond, so that I'm able to respond in a point of view, in a language, in a voice that they would be able to comprehend. Death and life in the power of the tongue, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. That respective jurisdiction, exactly. See, what are you authorized? Once again, every invitation comes with a description. You know why? Because the person who calls you is authorizing you to listen to the voice. The person who calls you is authorizing you to hear the voice. You said perspective means you can't have the same experience no matter how much you want. Yeah. Right? See, we're all having an experience. We don't have the same experience, yet we live in the same plane, which means technically we do have the same experience, which means that I'm a puzzle piece. I'm not the whole puzzle. So the only way I can hear somebody else's experience is to at least let them say what they're saying, so that I can now have another puzzle piece that I might comprehend what the whole thing looks like. You say hitting you on top of the head, Brother Keith. That's why I said this one might be an ouch for some people. This was an ouch for me. It was an ouch for me yesterday. See, because I literally was going through physical pain yesterday trying to figure it out. And then at the end of the night, I actually hurt myself, jumping up and down and doing some stuff and doing all these different things and on the wood panel and stuff. And I knew better or whatever, right? I knew what the floor was. I was still trying to jump and do this stuff and all this stuff. And next thing I know, right, I can't walk for the rest of the day. I mean, literally, I was walking, but I was limping, trying to walk the dogs trying to pull me, knowing that I can't really keep on my feet and stuff. It was wild experience yesterday. But I realized it's because I didn't accept the call. I could have just jumped somewhere different. I could have just walked to a different surface. I could have done something else, but I decided to do it on this really hard surface, no shoes on. And next thing I know, now all of a sudden I can't put pressure on the bottom of my right foot. Now, I could just go, man, that's messed up. Yahweh, I got stuff to do today. Man, I could blame my wife for that. Man, I could blame my circumstance. I could say, man, you know what? Why did somebody bring me to this place? I could do all types of stuff. But see, I was never invited to do that. I might have been invited to jump up and down, but I was never invited to do that. Every invitation. I say this a lot, right? The great Buster Rhymes, Buster Bus, the great philosopher Buster Bus. He once said, "For every choice, there is an invoice." So I can blame the dog. Oh, I got to get you that address too. I know you texted me. My bad. But yeah, for every choice, there's an invoice. So you have to ask yourself, is it because I accepted Yahweh's invitation, or is it because I accepted an invitation? You see that? Have I accepted Yahweh's invitation, or have I accepted somebody else's? And if I accepted somebody else's, if there's repercussions, I must accept those repercussions as consequences of my own choice. You got the same pain on the same foot? Yeah, it was difficult for me yesterday. I was trying. Man, was I trying. It took me a minute. I was so glad. I've never been I've never praised y'all for shoes before, but man, right, to not have to put pressure on the bottom of your foot when it hurts. I was thankful for every shoe that I've ever put on my foot. But I'm just saying, right, for every choice, there's an invitation. So, question for you. If you're going to walk this path with the Most High, okay, I see you by rotating the ankle. If you're going to and thank you for being part of Community Country Girl Princess. So if you're going to accept this invitation from the Most High, do you know that the invitation comes with giving? And I'm sorry if the wind picks up. If it picks up too bad, I'll try to see if I can find another space to do this in, but we're probably going to have to do this right here today. It's starting to pick up and get a little cold, right? Did right? Well, with serving as well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but let's just focus on this first one, right? Do you know that this invitation comes with giving? Yeah, we put chimes up on this tree back here. I think they're elephant chimes. Can't see it right now. But did you ever know that? Did you know that this comes with giving? Right? You said you knew, but you listened in. Well, thank you and appreciate your presence. Right? So this comes with giving. So how are you going to join the kingdom of heaven, but you're not ready to give? Wait a minute. Oh, here you go. You're trying to take our money. What about your time? Have you made a choice to give your time? Or is your time always so busy that you can't be what the Most High needs you to be? Not just to listen to me. Have you given your time to make sure that you use your gifts? Do you give your time towards your gift? How much do you study your gift? If you have the gift of speaking, how many speakers do you listen to? Well, you can say you can receive before you give, but it's better to give than it is to receive. They go hand in hand, right? I get what you're saying, but I'm saying, like, we're so big on the reception, right? How you doing, Brother Eugene, up in the D? Right? How much time do you give towards even learning your gift and your craft? See, watch this. Why won't anybody buy my product? Have you learned how to give advertisement? Why won't anybody do what I'm asking you to do? Have you learned how to give some things away for free? I went somewhere yesterday, right? And hopefully everybody's doing well on the fast. So after 6 o'clock, time wise, I had a bunch of stuff to still do, but I walked, or limped basically with my dog. But I walked down to get some food or whatever, right? And needed some heavy protein on that day. I've been not been doing well with my protein intake, and I could feel it, and especially with the healing that I was going to try and make take place, I wanted to make sure the protein was in place. So I went over there, and there was something I'd never tried before, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing, Jay Upstate?" So I was like, "Man, I've never tried this before. What is this?" And the person, before they even described it to me, guess what they said? "Oh, it's on the house. Try it out." That person comprehends the concept of giving. You know why? Because now in my head, it's almost like I owe it to them. to some point to go back and at least buy one of what he gave me for free. Like in my head now, there's this thing that says, man, he didn't have to do that. And then he gave it to me and I was like, oh, this thing is nice. This thing is great. You know what I'm saying? I got to cut, so, right. So even though I might not go there on a regular basis because I might not need that, but yeah. Or like samples at Costco, right? You go to Costco, right? They give you the sample and you go sample. See, some people, they don't comprehend. See, they like to receive. But Costco comprehends, or even the people that are there, a lot of times they might even be giving you their own product that's at Costco, or there might be people who are trying to give you all they're supposed to do is give. They ain't worried about doing this. They ain't worried that they just give it. Because the goal is, if you taste this, and you might be like, man, okay. And even if you don't buy it today, you come back next time. I don't have the money for this. I don't know if I really, but all of a sudden here comes a party and you start going through your head. You start saying, what was the taste? Oh, taste and see. Yehovah is excellent. He is constitutional. You start saying to yourself, what is that taste? I tasted that thing before. Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me go over to Costco. Let me see if I can find it. And you can't even explain it. You go to the people. I had this thing. You guys were giving it out for free yesterday, like a taste test around this area. It's shaped like this and has like a little sweet taste, but this and that. Like you try to explain it to them because you're like, hey, you're trying to tell them the taste. And they say, oh yeah, that's over there in this aisle. And come to find out now, not only do you go and get it in bulk over there, but you get a few of them in bulk. But then you say, oh, that thing seems to be similar. You might buy something else. See, and you don't recognize. See, when they gave it to you for free, they sowed a seed. See, you're invited to give. In business, you are taught when to give for free. If I give it for free, right? Because a lot of y'all say, I'm not going to give it till everybody pays for it. I'm not going to give it till everybody pays for it. That's not how flow works. Hey, how you doing? Love, peace, blessings. Shalom achiyat or achi. Or akat, some people would say, right? You got to comprehend the flow. Amen. He first loved us. It is not that you first loved him. It is that he first loved us. Amen. You see, it is better to give than it is to receive. Companies understand giving, right? Even if it's just to get a profit, right? Watch this. Even see, this is why you got to comprehend this and start using this in righteousness. Even the evil one that you talk so poorly of, and you should, but you talk so poorly about him, but he comprehends principles more than you. What is one of the biggest things that they give for free to your children? Knowing that it will infect your children for years to come. Subliminally, even. Trauma shaman, sorry, I missed that earlier. What is one of the biggest things they'll give to your children for free, knowing that they'll give it? We can say candy for sure. They'll give you candy for free. Oh, give them at the doctor's office, give them to the dentist, give them at Halloween, give them this, give them that. Because if we get them hooked on sugar now, oh man, when they get older, we got them. We'll put sugar in the barbecue sauce. We'll put sugar in the ketchup. Ketchup is more sugar than it is tomatoes, if it's even real tomatoes. We'll put sugar on your sandwiches. We'll put sugar on your fries. Yes, on your fries. We'll put sugar in the oil. We'll put sugar in everything. We'll put sugar in what we use to clean your teeth. We'll put it everywhere. Right? But what's something else? Watch this. And how you doing, Lost Prophet? Thanks for being part of the community. Watch this. What's something else they'll give to your children for free, knowing that it'll bless their pockets later on? They'll put sugar in coffee. They'll put it in everything. Watch this. They'll put sugar in medicine. They'll put sugar in the minerals that you get. You go to the store and you get minerals, or you get all these vitamins for your children. Your children don't even take vitamins unless they're chewables or unless they're gummies, and the gummies are full of sugar. Even if they have the real minerals, they're gonna get a sugar high. That's what your child wants. Your child doesn't care about minerals because they weren't taught to taste for minerals. They were taught to taste for the sugar. I'm sorry, you said in the Vietnam War, they airdropped tons of cigarettes and got customers for life. Right? You get credit cards for free. You get a limit on it, but you get it for free. That's what happened to me in the military. Got a credit card, 17 years old, don't know nothing about credit. I'm in debt. Next thing I know, what is credit card debt? Never knew that I got to pay for this stuff. Because yeah, you got to pay for it. Well, I knew I had to pay for it, but you mean I got to pay for it now? Well, yeah, you got to pay for it now. They told me. They wrote it out in the contract. but I didn't know what I invited into my life. But here's something that they give your children for free that's even worse. Nowadays they give them free entertainment. YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, babies on there, especially YouTube, Roblox. You got to watch this stuff that they play. They learn how to play shooting games right before Call of Duty. Before there was Call of Duty, there's Roblox, right? They playing what is it on there? What's that show that everybody fell in love with, the Asian show? I don't remember if it was Chinese or Japanese. I think it might have been Japanese. Forgive me. I never really watched an episode. Where it was like tag or something they were playing and stuff like that. Like we called it freeze tag, but like whatever show that is where they had a show recently that they were doing or whatever, right? My child never watched it, but guess how my child knew about it? My child knew about it because they had a version of it on Roblox. So even though they didn't show the blood and this and that, they show people getting shot. Squid Games, thank you. So all these children love Squid Games. I heard people talking about Squid Games, Squid Games, Squid Games. I found about a Squid Games because I found out that all these children on YouTube kept talking about Squid Games. And then I come to find out, oh, Squid Games is this show that basically is like going back in the day to like something like the Hunger Games. And if you know about comics, Japanese comics, they had some stuff like that in Japanese comics that was real big way before that. Yeah, your children, they learn about it on Grand Theft Auto. They learn about it in Mortal Kombat. I shouldn't have been seeing somebody in the early 1990s talking about finish him and taking somebody's head off their body and their spine is hanging out now. Right? But that's envy. It was Korean. Okay, thank you. I've never seen it, but thank you for the correction. We should make sure that we don't just label all Asian countries as one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they did those things. They put that in your child's head already every day. Right? Before Mortal Kombat, or I don't know if it was before, but you had Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter was before, right? Because Street Fighter is almost like the 80s. And then before Street Fighter, Capcom was giving you other stuff in the arcade too. I can't even remember. We used to all play something else before it was Street Fighter or something else you would play in the arcade. Right? Like we literally have our children where they're putting that in there. That's an invitation. Tekken, yeah. That's an invitation. People say, I have no idea how school shootings shot up. Yeah, Fortnite. And even Fortnite's crazy because you can wear all types of stuff. So you might have somebody basically wearing a skin. That's what they call it when they talk about the different, versions or appearances that people might be able to have. You might have somebody who wears a skin that looks like they're buck naked, or a skin on somebody that makes them look like they have all these hips and stuff. Why is a 5-year-old boy playing with a girl character that has hips on her and is switching back and forth? So guess what's happened now? Because of that, guess what's happened? When people who are into pornea or a false image of marriage, you call it pornography, right? People that are into pornography, guess what they watch now? They watch cartoon characters, right? It's not just anime, right? Like, because anime, well, it's hentai anime, right? Because hentai means perverted. Hentai doesn't mean porn, but it means perverted. Anime doesn't mean porn for those who don't know any better, who only think with one track mind. Anime just talk about animation, right? So they watch hentai anime, and they watch, or I don't know what you call it, American, whatever. But whoever makes it, whatever country they make it, they take they have people who draw the cartoon characters that they watch growing up in sexual activity and deviance. Why? Because somebody planted a seed, right? Somebody planted a seed with She-Ra back in the day. So now somebody's looking for She-Ra. Somebody said it didn't matter, but yeah, it did. And this is what used to happen. See, what used to happen is they couldn't do it. Why? Because parents controlled what their children watch. There were only a few channels. So parents had full control. The whole family had to watch whatever was going on at the same time. So if it didn't appeal to the adult, it could not appeal to the child. Is this live now? Yeah, it's live. Right? Yeah, Japanese animation. Right? It was Japanese animation, right? So back in the day, because it was limited how many channels, right? When you had to work 2-3 channels, right? When everything went off back in the day, I remember you stayed up too late and you see that screen, boo, but it just have, different colors that would pop up until it came back on again, or you see the shh, or you see the gray and white and black particles floating around the screen because there was no signal. You said your son owns an esports team and you're not a huge fan of games, but he makes money. Hey, I get it, right? But see, you were limited. That's what I thought I was going to do. In all honesty, I thought I was going to be an esports player. Sometimes you couldn't have told me different, right? You got to guard your ear and your eye gates. Yeah. Now that you Shira as part of the XYZ community on Hulu. Yeah. See, but it started with a seed planted way back when. It started with a seed. They were planting those things, but they were planting those things. See, whatever you watch, it had to appeal to the whole family. Yeah, it's a daily fight to keep our child even off the screen, for sure. How you doing, Wananda? Station identification and the national anthem would play, and you only had a few animals. Yeah, or national anthem might play, depending on what you were watching. Yeah, or where you were in the country. Matter of fact, it used to be that wherever you were in the country, before cable hit, there were some things that were national television, but there were only certain slots for nationally televised things. So there was like a one spot in the day where you were going to get, or maybe one or two possibly, where you would get national news. Everything else was local, right? You were invited to be part of your local assembly, your local community, right? The invitation was different. We weren't worried about, if you were in New York City, you were going to learn about what? New York City, right? If you were in Washington, D.C., you were going to learn about what? Washington, D.C. There was a place that you were invited to if you wanted something different. It's called the library. Yeah, and it can feel hypocritical for sure, right? But it's you see, like it used to be everybody had to be involved in the same thing. Everybody had to be involved. So the reason why Mr. Rogers was a great thing that everybody loved to watch is because Mr. Rogers appealed to the parents just as much as it appealed to the children. And that's why you like Mr. Rogers. The whole family remembers Mr. Rogers, not just one person, right? Mr. Rogers was on PBS. By the way, PBS, that was an invitation. They even invited, are you willing to give? Your giving, your donation helps us to make sure we do this. So whatever you give, so that's why you could call in the PBS. See, whatever you give to, you have the right to be able to start speaking into. So if somebody did something wrong on PBS, or somebody didn't like something, somebody could call in and be like, hey, I didn't like what you did. I don't like that program. Can you change it? And they say, okay, we'll change it. Why? Because you have a right to, because you're part of the community, because you give. The comprehension of giving will change your life. The living of the living giving. Living as somebody who's giving will change your life. Yeah, but boy is a boy, girl is a girl. People got upset with that, and people still get upset with that. Why? How dare you invite me to be a boy? How dare you invite me to be a girl? It's an invitation. Not everybody has to accept it. Amen. Giving allows you to continue to give this man. Yeah, you guys giving time, talent, effort, energy, even you guys just watching is giving. Some people give donations. Some people give time. Some of y'all give phone calls to people, right? Some of you love people. Some of you give love to me. Some of you reach out every once in a while. Hey, man, I just want to let you know I appreciate you, right? The giving. And now watch this. When I give, if I'm invited to be a giver, how should I give? And thank you, Barry. I appreciate that. Right? If I'm invited in the kingdom, right? If I'm invited, if the invitation is out and part of it comes with giving, how am I supposed to give? Help me out, somebody. Because see, there's a blessing. There's a blessing right here. Reading Rainbow. Oh, yeah, Reading Rainbow. That was the stuff right there. Right? People that didn't even read waited for Reading Rainbow. That was their book for the week. Some people. You freely give. Come on. Joyfully. I'm looking for another word, Brother Vincent, but you close. You do freely give. Freely give, right? But what else? What's another one? If I'm going to give, what's another one? I'm looking for another one. Be a cheerful giver. Hallelujah. Is it not amazing that you will cheerfully give to get them Jordans, but you won't cheerfully give to get a word? Come on, somebody. Press through. But that came from your wife. I'm out. How you doing? Right? See, you gotta. Where's your cheer at? Come on, 49ers. Let's go, Purdy. Come on, Jalen. Let's go, Jalen. They said you wasn't nothing. They said that you wasn't gonna do it. They said that your playoffs was gonna look like last year. Let's get it. Come on, Patrick. They said your ankle ain't there. Press through. We know you got it. We know you got it in you. I'm trying to remember the other. Come on. What is? I don't remember his name. Joe, not Joe. Cincinnati Bengals. Won the national championship. Oh, I can't remember his name. Whatever his name is. Go Bengals. Let's go QB1. Whatever. I don't know. Trees get their fruit freely. Sure. Yep. Just sometimes we get from a place of discipline, not wanting to do it. Yeah. And by the way, that's okay to give as well. I'm not saying it's always gonna feel great, but see what happens when you start becoming cheerful. See, cheerful, full of cheer means at some point this means Joe Burrows. Thank you. Full of cheer is basically saying at some point, right? I am cheerful about it. I cheer for it. This is my team. This is something that means something to me. See, when you become a cheerful giver, it is automatic that you would cheer. If you're part of the team, it's automatic that you'll cheer them on. If somebody in this community is making great business decisions, it's automatic we would cheer them on. If somebody part of this, whether it's me or somebody else, it doesn't matter. If somebody's giving an excellent word, we can't wait to cheer them on. If it's time to meet up with one another, well, we keep doing this, right? When it's time to meet up, we're going to make sure that we cheer one another on. It's time to build up. Time to be in edification. But we got to be educated on what this is. See, because it's hard to cheer one another on if we don't know what we've been invited to. And so now we've been invited to something, and it's hard because now, wait a minute. Also, I might have been invited to be a giver and to be a cheerful giver. But what happens if I have to give while at the same time I've also been invited to suffering? I've been invited to be a cheerful giver. I've also been invited to suffer. And suffering is a choice. Did you know that? Suffering is a choice. Check out know the stipulations of the invitation. I like that. Someone in the comments talking about alchemy and law of equivalent exchange. Okay, I missed it. Sorry. Encouragement, empowerment, listening ear. Yeah. Right? See, suffering is a choice. I got to give 10% of my time. Yeah, suffering is a choice. See, some of us cheerfully suffer, though. How in the world are they going through that and they still cheerful? Part of the invitation. Suffering is a choice. Yeah, it is. We don't teach it like that, but that's what it is. You cannot suffer without choosing to do so. See, watch this. If I take your wallet, that's not suffering, right? If I take your wallet, that's not suffering. Or how about this? If I take your food from you, if I don't feed you, that's not suffering. You didn't choose that. Somebody's stealing. Somebody's not giving. Somebody's not being obedient. Thanks for being part of community survival mode, right? But if I choose to turn down my plate that I might be able to fast, that's suffering. That's why they called it, when they were talking about women's right to vote, that's why it was called the suffrage movement, because they were saying we don't have the right to choose or to vote. That's what they were telling you. And how you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Niren. I don't know how to say it. Niren, thanks for being on. Right? Suffrage is a choice. With the invitation comes a choice that you will go through some things. But here's the part of the invitation that gets great. Here goes our third affirmation, that the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory, the imprint that will be upon you, which shall be revealed. How you doing? Is it Orish 78 Root? I'm not sure. How you doing? Thanks for being part of the community, right? The suffering of this present time is not even worthy to be compared. So this invitation to suffer for the kingdom is not worthy to be compared to what comes out of the suffering. The suffering of turning down my plate is not to be compared to the glory of my body getting healed. The suffering of me giving up bad personality traits, right, is not worthy to be compared to having the righteous personality trait. The suffering of dealing of loving somebody even in the midst of my body trying to shut down is not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed when I'm not even having to know what pain is anymore. Right? The suffering doesn't compare. You do not compare. Stop comparing yourself to what you were before you suffered to get where you are. This is what people try to do to you. You start making it to another level. Oh, they don't give the way they used to. They won't give me a loan. They won't do this. They won't just support what I do. They don't want to come to the club. They don't. Yeah, I've suffered through some things so that I can't be compared to what I used to be. I'm sorry. I made a choice. I made some decisions. You lost 7 pounds on the fast already. Praise God. Right? So I made a choice already. I've made a choice. I've made a decision that no matter what's going on, I'm willing to go through the pain, because no pain, no gain, right? I've decided that I'm going to be somebody who's no longer sidelined by the heaviness of oppression, but I'm going to be willing to shed the oppression, but shedding the oppression is suffering. I've decided to go through it. Have you decided? In this invitation, don't forget, we invite you to suffering, because the Most High is the one who invites all of us. How you doing, Jinpo? Thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? Right. So the suffering of this present time right now is not worthy to be compared to what the glory, the imprint, the weight, the change that's about to happen in your life. Right. If you got to run away in chains, then run off the plantation. Right. But always remember that once you get past that Ohio River, once you cross over to the other side, it might be hard, it might be tough, you might not make it. But if you can make it, if you can press on and get past that river, if you can follow the North Star, there's somebody on the other side of the river that's ready to go ahead and take you into the house, make sure you get warm, cut those chains off, and allow you to experience freedom for the first time in your life. Excuse me. Hallelujah. Right? The suffering is necessary to make it off the plantation, but it's not worthy to be compared to the freedom which shall be revealed. See, the invitation that comes with suffering. See, and we don't tell people about this enough. We don't honor that part of it, but we don't tell people that that's part of the journey. But yes, that is part of the journey. You might have to suffer a little bit. How you doing, Aslan? You might have to suffer a little bit. But there's peace in the middle of the suffering. That's why there's peace in the storm. Right? Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eye on Yahshua. Right? They're in the middle of the storm on the boat. The Messiah is asleep. Everybody wakes up and says, wait a minute. There's a storm going on. They're freaking out. Looks like the boat's going to go over this and that. But the Messiah is still asleep the whole time. He's resting. Right? If he's resting, and how you doing, Daniela? Thanks for being part of the community. If he's asleep, if he's resting, if he ain't tripping, why am I tripping? If he's not moved by those situations, right, and he's telling me he's not moved by that, why am I moved by that? Come on, somebody. Right? If he's not moved by it, why am I moved by it? If he's not upset by it, why am I upset by it? If he's not frustrated, why am I frustrated? If he's not losing sleep, why am I losing sleep? You see what I'm saying? They were in the boat, middle of the storm. Everybody's freaking out. They even come to him and wake him up, try to take him out of rest, forgetting who's there with them, getting him out of his rest, getting him out of Shabbat. How you doing, Jenny Jacobs or Janie Jacobs? or is it Janelle Jacob, excuse me. Thanks for being part of the community. Why are you waking him up out of rest? Why are you taking him out of Shabbat? Why are you out of Shabbat? Here it is, everybody waking him up and waking her. This is going on, and this going. Can you not see this is happening? Can you not see this is happening? Can you not see this is happening? Can you not see water and the wind and the waves? Can you not see the storms going on in my life? Can you not see that my family's not acting right? Can you not see my marriage is falling apart? Can you not see that my children don't act right? Can you not see? Can you not see? Can you not see? And he gets up. Man, you guys don't have no faith. And he gets up. It just says, "Peace be still." And then he goes back to sleep. In other words, like, look, if I was asleep, you shouldn't have been worried about it anyway. But since you need to see something, since you can't have the faith without having to have it see it first, okay, fine. Let me go ahead. Peace be still. See, it wasn't the problem anyways. I'm the one that created all this stuff anyways. Why are you tripping? Let's go back to sleep. We be upset. We upset. Our spouse isn't moving. Don't you see this? And you don't do this, and blah blah, and this and that way. And you should feel the way that I do. Peace be still, man. Like I'm trying my best. Like I'm not moved by it. What do you mean? You're not moved, blah blah. I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be empathetic. But sometimes there's a faith thing that happens, right? Well, you're saying it's going to happen in this vision. You might not be able to see it. I'm just saying, look, have faith. We've been doing this for 20 years. We've been doing this for 30 years. We've been doing this for 50 years. Yeah. In all 50 years, haven't there been things before that I've told you that we're probably going to be able to reach, and we reached them, even though you couldn't see it before? Why are you worried about this? He was talking to them and the storm. Exactly. Right. Like, peace. Look, peace be still. If I did it before, I'll do it again. Come on, Ty Trippin. Right? Peace be still. Why are you waking me up? Why are you calling on my name about something that's vain? This is empty. You already know I can do it. You've seen me do it before. Why are you waking me up in the middle of the night? Even though he never slumbers or sleep, right? I get it. Hopefully get the context of what I'm talking about, right? And then this is what they said. What manner of man is this? He's not like you. So if you're somebody that's above man, that's better than any man you've ever seen, better than any woman that you've ever seen, why are you acting like they're going to react to stuff the way you react to it? And if they're telling you that they live inside of you, then why are you not realizing that the one inside of you is not worried about what your body is going through? How you doing, Brother Kobe? Why is it you're not realizing that the one that's inside of you is not worried about what you are worried about? Why do you not recognize that? Right? If his context is different than your context, then why are you not worried about that context? Or I'm sorry, why are you worried about a different context? Excuse me. He's invited you to something different. He doesn't look at the word the way you do. Every character in a word has a meaning. He needs you to know what the overall meaning is, and by character. Why is it that you fretting over something that's written in a whole nother language that doesn't even read the same? You're trying to read it through somebody else's prism. Matter of fact, when you guys hear flesh, you guys only think physical. Well, that's what the flesh is, right? The flesh does not just mean physical. The flesh is a way of operation. See, when you're invited out of the flesh, it's talking about get out of the operation. Oh, y'all don't want to hear that. See, today we're talking about the invitation. You've been invited out of a certain type of operation. See, when you operate in the flesh, it's talking about you operate in something that is going to be dead. Something that is designed to die, or wasn't really designed to die at first, but now, because of sin, it's something that is it is something that has been permeated with sin, and therefore every cell, every molecule, every thought process it has, it all must die. So you have been invited out of the flesh through the soul to be able to be soul tied to the spirit. You hear flesh, and your automatic response is flesh must mean skin. It must mean meat. It must mean, matter of fact, a lot of people don't think about it, but when you eat from the trees, the fruit has flesh. If you eat a coconut, the white part is called flesh, especially if you actually eat it from like places in Africa and stuff like that. The West Africa specifically, I'm talking about. I can't say I've ate all coconuts, but when you go there, you'll actually discover that when you eat the coconut, you actually go in the inside. I don't even like coconuts really pretty much unless they come from sometimes Hawaiian coconuts, but I don't really like them unless they're West African. I really don't like coconut milk and stuff because it doesn't taste the same. They do all types of stuff to it, believe it or not, too. But when you drink it over there, it tastes great. And then they open it up after, so after they've, you drink it, then they cut it open for you more. And then you eat the flesh, you literally scoop it out and you eat it just like it's meat. Right. But flesh does not mean just what we think it is. Right. But see, when you're being invited out of the flesh, you're being invited out of a realm of thought. Right. You're being invited out of a realm of thought. Yeah, we get dry ones. Exactly. Yeah, I don't like the, I don't like the dry one. Right. But the flesh, you get that flesh. Oh, I'll eat that all day. I didn't think I liked coconuts until I left the Hawaii is not out of the state, so to speak, but until I left the, this continent and went on island or went back to Africa, I didn't even like it. Right. But see, you've been invited out of a way of thought into something greater. So invitation comes with giving. Invitation even comes with suffering. Right? This invitation, right? We're talking about the invitation for us in our culture. This invitation also comes and is required that you learn law. And people don't like that. Right? Because law means that you must be governed. This is why we talked about, was it Monday night? That prayer is petition. People out here talking about how to pray, but don't know what a petition is. Yeah, Aman, the Bible is long case study for Yashel and anybody who will be grafted in, and anybody who's about the kingdom of heaven, most definitely, right? The Bible is long case study, and that's why it's not for everybody, because you won't follow law. You don't like law. You don't want law. But law doesn't give rights. Law protects rights. How are we going to protect ourselves? You got to learn law. Look, and I'm not saying that you ain't supposed to have no guns, right? I ain't anti-gun. I got that thing for you, right? But also, real talk, you'll go faster to the gun than you will to the law. That's why some of y'all, when they find your gun, you start talking about constitutional rights. They're like, but your constitutional rights are protected by constitutional law. If you don't follow constitutional law, then how in the world can you have a constitutional right be protected? Talking about your constitutional right. Talking about your constitutional right. Yeah, you have a constitutional right. It's protected by constitutional law. And if you won't follow the constitutional law, then you have no constitutional right. Or at least we have to protect you from using that constitutional right that will hurt somebody in the public or private. You know what I'm saying? There's constitutional law, but you keep talking about constitutional rights. Rights have to be protected by law. If you don't follow law, then guess what? They have to strip you of your right. You've been invited into law, but you don't want to learn law. I'm going to heaven because I'm holy. Holy according to what? Some people ain't gonna want to hear this today, but this is real. I'm going to heaven because I'm holy. My name is written in the book, but he says, if you add anything to the book, the plagues will be added unto thee. And if you take anything out of this book, he says, your name is taken out the book of life. That means that you got to follow everything. In Revelation chapter 10, how much of the scroll? In Revelation chapter 10, how much of the scroll did John, but in the scroll, how much did John have to eat? Somebody help me out. In Revelation chapter 10, how much of the scroll did John have to eat? See, this is law. It's in there. The same revelation they talking about that's going to get them into heaven. They don't want to listen to the part that's in there about the scroll, about the savat, about the word. They said he had to eat the entire scroll, all of it, the whole scroll. Holy, Aleph, Alav, one, Hakwadash. He had to eat the whole thing. You're not invited to pieces. That's why you fall to pieces, because you don't have anything whole. You're not whole. Look, it's easy to fall to pieces when you aren't connected, when you aren't whole, when you aren't one. It's easy for Israel to continue to be messed over because we don't want to come together and become a compact nation. Psalm 142. It's easy. It's easy where we don't come together in unity. No wonder it's not pleasant and constitutional, right? Because it's constitutional and pleasant for brethren to come together in unity. It's like the oil that is put on the head, even the Aaron's head. It goes down the beard, even his beard, and goes down even into the skirts, right? But we don't want to be whole. We don't want to come together. We want our cake and to eat it too. I want to give a little piece of this and not do it. I want to step into Cirque, but then be in the kingdom. I want to follow some of the ways, but then get all of the blessings. I want to be able to. I want to be partial and receive wholly. Does that make sense, though? It might be what you want. Yeah, we're going to keep it 100 Black still, right? Like, that might be what you want, but is it something that actually is sensical? If something's lukewarm and you're being vomited out of the mouth of Yahshua, why are you, like he told you? Like, he preferred that you not be in at all, cold, or you be all the way in, hot. But since you're lukewarm, he can't take it. There are some dishes that you serve lukewarm, I guess, but for the most part, most people want their dishes what? Cold or hot. Some people will eat both in pizza. You give somebody pizza, give me cold pizza, give me hot pizza. I'll take either or. But lukewarm, like this is cold, right? Or if you eating something, hey, even if it's cold, fine. But if you want to warm it up, when you warm it up, hey, be careful when you warm it up, right? Because if you're gonna warm it up, I need you to recognize it as you warm it up, but it's got like that cold spot in the middle. That's gonna be kind of I don't like that. I'm eating. Then I get to the center of it and it's cold. Or you mix it up, it's hot, right? It seems like it's hot on the edges. Then you mix it together, and then all of a sudden it's lukewarm because it was never hot in the middle. And then I'm talking like KRS-One about the gun, right? You know, but don't give it to me lukewarm. Don't give it to me with pieces. See, we think lukewarm is just even temperature overall. Lukewarm can be some of it's hot, some of it's cold, some of it's hot, some of it's cold. Yeah, like lasagna. Like, I don't necessarily like cold lasagna, but if I'm in a rush or something, fine. Like, give me the cold lasagna and I'll eat it real quick. But please, right? Don't give me hot lasagna, but it's cold in the center. You know, that happens if you don't bake it correctly, if you don't bake it the right way, if you don't do some of those things, right? Even in the center of it, it can still be cold. Or the top can be hot, but the bottom can be cold. That's why you got to bake it all the way through. Yep, and lukewarm is a great place for bacteria. See, the bacteria, if it's cold, at least they're gonna be slow, right? And if it's hot, you know, hopefully you've cooked the bacteria out. But if it's in the middle, that's where they thrive. And a lot of people are in the middle, and bacteria is thriving all over your life, right? Loopholes are thriving all over your life. See, you've been invited to something greater. How you doing, Sister Deja? You've been invited to something greater. You've been invited to something greater. That means that you're going to have to sit in the oven for a little bit. You're going to have to, it's going to have, matter of fact, there's nothing like before you put something in the oven or in a crock pot or something like that, that something going to marinate for a minute. See, things that take a little while. Oh man. See, even when you microwave stuff, y'all don't recognize somebody had to create that for a little bit. They had to take their time with it. They had to do some things to it that you think is just, oh, I pop it in the microwave because that's your part. It's gotten to you. And now because you don't like to take time with stuff, it's gotten to you and you're just like, cool, I'm gonna take somebody else's work and throw it in the microwave. But that's why it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do it like that, but it don't come out the same way. You don't have to put that much effort. You don't have to pay any effort. You don't have to pay anything. See, you're paying cheaper prices because you're paying for less. You can put less whatever, less energy, less responsibility, less accountability, less time, right? You're paying less because you're getting something that's cheaper. But man, you get something that you really want to go in that oven, that thing might cost $15, $20 to be able to get your lasagna up in there, right? I don't even know what they are, them Stouffer's joints, right? That be in there, the big ones, and you put them in there or whatever. But you put that thing in there, it might take 2 hours at least. But when that thing come out, you're like, I'm glad I paid for it, right? You want to get them enchiladas and not have to go through the process, okay, right? But then you go to a restaurant that they give you the enchilada meal on your plate and give you a big plate, and you want it for the same price as what it is. Like, you don't want it where somebody made. You don't want to pay for it where somebody does it. You don't believe in it, but you want to go to, or but you got to recognize. See, people don't get this. If somebody makes a donation to us, this is something that the Holy Spirit was bringing to me this rising when I was preparing for this message, right? If somebody gives us a donation, time, talent, effort, energy, gifts, smiles, phone calls, even donations financially, right? I always have to remember the person is donating or giving cheerfully to something that they have a hope in. I want you to comprehend this. See, the invitation. If somebody feels invited by what you're doing, they feel invited to give their time. So if somebody gives their time, right, they're also willing to do what? Freely give it, be cheerful when they give it, and then watch this, to also have laws in place. They don't mind it. Holy Spirit, help me to do this. I just got to say it, right? I just got to say it. Holy Spirit, you right. Would you say people go to restaurants, serve like royalty, and they don't want to pay? Make it make sense? Yeah. Go to a restaurant only if you want to give a nice tip. Exactly, right? Watch this. And I'm not trying to say give to me, or give to SOC. We appreciate it, but that's not where I'm headed exactly. But hear what I'm saying. I want you to get the principle. If I'm going somewhere, I recognize that the only reason I'm going to receive is because I'm going to give. I prepare myself to give. If my wife and I are going somewhere and it's going to be a nice little outing for us, we're going to prepare ourselves. We're going to look a certain way. We're going to put on some great smelling, some great things like that. Oh, Psalm 122, becoming compact. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. Right? We prepare ourselves. You dress up to give. It becomes an experience. When we go into a restaurant, there's laws in place. You don't want to call them laws, fine. There's rules in place. We go to certain establishments. You might have to dress a certain way. There's certain times where we know that we're going to do something in a certain place. And I say, hey, if we go to this place, what is the dress code? Right? We don't walk up in there. Certain arenas you go into, you expect that there's going to be some rules. Now, you know why they do the dress code? They do the dress code. If we just keep it 100, how you doing, Sister Helen? If we're going to keep it 100, they give you the dress code because they don't just want anybody coming in there. This restaurant ain't just for everybody. So if you got into a place where you can come in there, where you qualify, then there's certain things that they're going to ask of you to ensure that you qualify. You said once people hear the word given, it's like they're afraid and are taken back. Yeah, So there's things I'm looking for. If I go and take my family to the Baltimore Aquarium, if I go and take my family to the DC Zoo, if I go and take my family to the Tennessee or the Memphis Zoo, if I take my family to the Georgia Aquarium, if I take my family over to I don't know, the Golden Gate Bridge and somewhere around there to eat, wherever it is, right? Everywhere we go, we are expecting, right, a different culture, and we are expecting to be able to flourish in that culture, which means that we have to expect to even make sure that we are presentable in said culture. You said you pray that you can give. It's a blessing. Yeah, it means you have more than enough, right? See, every place that I go, I expect to give according to what that culture is asking for. Remember, I used the word prayer is petition. Hopefully somebody's getting this. I don't even feel like I'm getting it out the way I need to, but prayerfully this is happening. Etiquette. Yeah, there you go. Right? So watch this. When I go to give, I talked about prayer as petition. A petition is what again? A petition is an appeal, a demand, or a request made to a government according to your constitutional rights. So when I give prayer, when I give excellence, when I give a word, when I give my heart, when I give my time, when I give my energy, when I give my calling, when I accept the calling and give what I'm called to do, whatever, right? When I give, what I'm saying is I'm making a demand on the government according to my constitutional rights. I come before the throne boldly. Why? Because I give according to the constitutional rights. I give according to the governing body. If I'm going to make an appeal, a demand, or a request according to the government, according to my constitutional rights, I must know how the government governs. I must know what my constitutional rights are. Could you be asking for some things that you have no right to ask for? See, this is what you're invited to. You're invited to a different place. There is a dress code. Right? When the Bible says make your request known, some versions say make your petition known, whatever, right? That's what a petition is. Lawfully speaking, a petition is what? It once again is an appeal, a demand, or a request made to a governing body based off of my constitutional rights. So here I say, heaven, give me this. And they say, what constitutional right have you to that? That's what they're going to ask. What constitutional right have you to ask for that? I need meat in mine house. I'm your family. Make sure there's meat in mine house. Well, Malachi chapter 3 says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there might be meat in mine house. And then we can start talking about opening up the windows of heaven so that I can pour out a blessing that you have room to receive. See, or that you have not room to receive. But give me the blessing. Give me this. I'm praying for this. I'm praying for that. I'm calling down your peace. I'm calling down your glory upon my family. Everybody in my family will be blessed. Everybody in my nation will be blessed. Everybody who I come into contact will be blessed. First of all, you're praying stuff that's not true because they got to make a decision for themselves. Number one, right? Everybody I come into contact with, they'll all be saved. I'll save everybody. You can't save everybody because it's not your decision. Right? That's not in the Constitution. You're sitting up there praying, making a petition, but you're sitting up there and you're asking things that aren't according to the governing body because the governing body doesn't say everybody gets in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, but I also love you enough to tell you the truth. Right? I shouldn't be pastoring if I don't have a pastor's heart. So out of respect for you, out of the passion that I have for Jehovah's people, right? You have to obey. That's why obedience is better than sacrifice. Sacrifice is you do it one time. Obedience is I do it all the time. I don't have to be asked. Yeah, I'm not exactly. That's truth. I'm not right. Like that's you keep talking about your sacrifices. And look, it's great to be a living sacrifice, but to be a living sacrifice at some point, the sacrifices should keep piling on each other, where we stop just only looking at your sacrifice and we start looking at your obedience. People want you to build monuments to sacrifice. I did this. Look, I did this. They do it even when you mess up. See, we talking about the invitation today. We coming out of this, right? Even when you mess up, they build a monument to your mistake. You know you did this. I can't believe you did. It took you this long. You just like your daddy. You just like your mama. You never gonna be any better. See, every time, you always blah blah. They build a monument and stay right there and worship. They make an idol out of your mistake. They make an idol out of that thing you did in 1972. They make an idol out of I used to work for this company in the 1950s and the 1980s. I did this and all that. And people are like, "Oh, that's great in the 1980s, but it's 2023." You know, they make an idol out of 9/11. Yeah, never forget. But you say, "Well, we got people that need help with trauma," and they say, "Man, forget that." Right? And how you doing, Crystal? Thanks for being part of the community. Welcome back, Ernie's Heart. right? Because people aren't worried. See, you got to comprehend whose culture are you in. See, that's another thing you're invited into. When you're invited into this, you also invited into culture. Every government governs through culture. Oh no, the United States of America, they don't govern by culture. They don't care about everybody's culture. We're all different kind of cultures and creeds and this and that or whatever. Okay, you take your creed that says that you're a communist and you go to Congress and you try to get them to sign up for communism. See where that gets you. You know? I mean, that's what you about, right? How you doing, House of Locks? You go ahead and take your stuff of being in the streets and doing things that are not great for the community, drugging your people up and doing all this stuff, selling it, then getting caught or whatever, and then be talking about, hey, you should let me go free because I didn't snitch. See where that gets you. See where that gets you. Amon, we got to speak the truth. How you doing, Big Eye? Right? See where that gets you when you want to use your culture and say your culture is more important, whatever culture you subscribe to. Go ahead and you come with a North Korean culture and say that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take over Arizona. I'm going to get 5,000 people. We're going to come together. We're just going to start killing and shooting up and doing all this stuff in Arizona from place to place to place to place to place. Or we're going to take over. And we don't expect the United States military to come on it because that's our creed. You see where that gets you. Sounds ridiculous until you start thinking, well, you decide that you're going to keep mistreating your wife and be abusive, whether it's physical or otherwise. And then all of a sudden, see if the Most High is going to bless you. You go ahead and dismiss his law and do whatever you want to do. That's really what people want to do. People want to do what thou wilt, right? That satanic worship, right? Aleister Crowley, do what thou wilt. Do whatever you want to do. Just do it. Do the do. I'm going to do me. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, Toss for Toy, right? That's what you in. But at the same time, I'm gonna do me, but I'm gonna do this at the same time. Time out. That's not how a kingdom works. Whatever a king decrees, it must be established. It's law. That's why people argue about law and they say the Mosaic law and this and that and blah blah. Before there was a Moses, there was law. No, there was no law before Moses. You don't know Enoch. Go read the book of Jasher. Go read the book of Enoch. Come back and tell me. See, you don't know how Enoch lived. You just say, that's why you about faith. You like being parts of these parts of pieces, these puzzle pieces like we were talking about earlier. You don't want the whole puzzle. You just want to live by a piece and act like that island that you're standing on called that puzzle piece that's floating in the water by itself, that is therefore something that can protect and prepare you for the vicissitudes of life. But then when somebody tries to address you and say, hey, you're not supposed to be in the water. You're supposed to be on this hard surface and you're supposed to be connected to another piece. You got anger issues. You're mad. You're frustrated. You're emotional because your emotions are tied to your beliefs and your beliefs are tied to your culture. But see, in order to come out of the world, you have to come out of their culture. Moses was given the law, but it started with the Most High. Yeah, Amen. See, you got to recognize Moses wasn't given every law. There were laws before Moses existed. You think that Moses was given the law that said, hey, make sure you speak and make sure that make sure that you speak light, enlightenment, and confusion, and make sure the confusion is separated from the enlightenment, the darkness from the light. Moses, that wasn't that, but that's a law. Darkness to light. Our days in Ava for Hebrew, for Israelites, our days start with sundown and in the next when the sun goes down the next day. Everybody else day starts either at 12 a.m. or your day starts at what? Your day starts when you get up in the rising. And how you doing, Divine Energy? Thanks for being part of the community. See, it's a different culture. You're talking about stuff comparing it to somebody else's culture. That's why intermittent fasting is great. Intermittent fasting is basically saying, like, you already see, watch this. Every time you sleep, you fast. Correct? I think we can be in agreement on that, right? If you're not fasting while you sleep, and I don't know how you're doing it, and you definitely it's not healthy, right? But when you go to sleep, you can't eat, right? So when you wake up, you break fast. So to do intermittent fasting is basically to say, I'm going to actually fast, and then I'm going to keep fasting. That's all you're doing. Intermittent fasting is just keep fasting, fast to sleep. There you go, right? That's hence the term. And how you doing, Shane Israel? Thanks for being on today with us, right? So all I'm doing if I'm fasting is I'm just continuing what I did in my rest. Gosh. Hallelujah. This is gonna be a word for somebody. If you accept this invitation, you're gonna get this thing, right? Like what we're saying when we're saying we're fasting is I'm just continuing what I did in my rest. Right? That's all I'm doing. I was resting and I was giving my body a chance to heal itself. I was resting and I was giving my body a chance to spiritually be in alignment to receive dreams and visions and things. Right? And so when I woke up, all I did was continue what I was doing when I was resting. I'm staying in rest. I'm staying in Shabbat. I'm allowing my body to keep itself, to keep the word, to keep the body, to keep the faith. If I fast, if I had a dream when I was asleep and I keep on fasting, when I wake up, it means that I'm still able to hold on to the dream. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, but it's because I'm continuing the same thing that I'm fasting. How you doing, Cable? Thanks for, See, we're living out of pocket. When I'm fasting, I've decided to let my body rest. And in the rest, to stay in rest, great. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We said this earlier. We're going to come right back to what we started with. Or not started with the suffering. If I keep fasting, I'll have pain, but pain comes in waves. But I've chosen to go through pains in order to stay in his rest. That's why fasting can be painful. But it's keeping me in rest. I'm telling you, we don't recognize the culture. You've been invited to some things. So when the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed, well, I might suffer on a 20, 30, 40-day fast. But if I can make it 20 days, I'm pretty sure I'm going to shed some pounds. Was it worth it? And by the way, my stomach is going to get smaller and it's not going to be used to having these huge meals. So when I start eating again, I can't even eat the amount of food I used to eat again. Is it worth it? And when I start eating, right, I'm only going to probably eat once a day when my stomach gets big enough, and I'll only have one pretty decent sized meal, and then I won't worry about going back to the same thing. My habits will have changed. Is it worth it? You see, the suffering of this present time. You've been invited to something. So yes, you've been invited to suffering. But suffering, once again, remember, suffering is choosing to go through it. Choose to go through the suffering. Choose to go through the pain, choose to go through the things. See, when you realize the goal, that's why vision is always important. What is the vision? Vision is I want to eat right. I want to live right. I want to be whole. I want to be healthy. I want to lose the pounds. I want to make sure that I go back to what I used to wear in high school, whatever you're talking about. Okay, fine. If that's the vision, then watch this. Be willing to suffer. I want a diamond, but I don't want to suffer. Diamonds suffer. Diamonds have to go through pressure. They have to go through heat, right? They then have to be tested, and then they have to be cut. If you're not willing to go through that process, then you're not willing to be a diamond. How you doing, Anita? Thank you for being. Thank you for the love. Excuse me. Right? Yeah, all things work together, but we don't even want to suffer. We don't choose to go through anything. Give me His word, but I don't want to carry my cross. But He said you have to. I don't want to. Well, then how do you get the blessing of and be a fellow heir if you won't go through what He went through? I mean, just because Jesus is Lord. You're like, just like, and people believe that. People walk by that. Diamond your birthstone, okay. Right? People walk by that. I want a diamond with no pressure. Artificial diamonds have to be pressured. You said, are there some types of sufferings that will last a lifetime? Might be. What are you going to get out of it? What is the ray of sunshine on that cloudy day? If that cloudy day lasts the rest of your life, do you ever look for the ray of sunshine, right? Even in that still gives you some things. And by the way, your suffering is not just for you. Sorry, excuse me. Your suffering is not just for you. How you doing, Libra? Right? Your suffering is not just for you. Maybe you would go through the suffering if you realized it was bigger than you. Maybe we go through the suffering if we realize that our children might see something in our suffering. Maybe we go through the suffering if we realize that our ancestors suffered, that we might be able to suffer something else. We just like, oh, there shouldn't be any suffering. See what happens, the reason why a lot of families fall apart, or a lot of countries fall apart, or a lot of kingdoms fall apart over time, is because the people suffer to put that kingdom in place, and they suffer to keep it. But then eventually life gets easy and they stop thinking they should have to suffer through anything. And now that they don't want to go through anything, it gets less and less. And now they don't want to uphold any standards, it gets less and less. And now they don't want to be male and female, and it gets less and less. And now they don't want to listen to the word, their canon, it gets less and less. And now they don't want to do this and do that. And before you know it, kingdom falls apart. Nobody's willing to suffer. Once again, suffering's a choice. People can talk about slavery is a choice. Yeah, fine. Slavery was a choice. Some of my ancestors, right? I know that a lot of my ancestors are indigenous to the Americas, but I also know that some of my ancestors, they came from other places, and they were willing to suffer so that I would be able to stand on their shoulders. And so, fine, call it a choice. Yes, slavery was a choice, but I'm glad they suffered. Because if everybody jumped off the boat, then I wouldn't be here. If everybody killed themselves, if everybody slit their throat, if everybody shot themselves, if everybody shot the babies, whatever, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm glad that there was somebody that said, I will suffer that you might live, even if it was cowardice that made them suffer, even if it didn't have anything to do with me. They were just like, I'd rather live than die. Well, I'm glad you did, because I'm alive because you suffered. Call that whatever you want. Run tell that, right? Run tell that, right? Call it whatever you want. But I'm glad somebody suffered that I would be here. How you doing, Giant Slayer? And I like your name because it allows us to be able to become the Giant Slayers, right? Maybe they couldn't slay the giant, but now we can slay the giant. Matter of fact, I don't even use the same tools that people think you have to use to slay the giant, because the weapons of my warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty to the pulling down of strongholds. You're so busy talking about the fact they didn't jump off the boat. Are you willing to make sure you jump out the system? They didn't jump off the boat so you could jump out the system. But you're so busy talking about the ancestor didn't jump off the boat, but you won't jump out the world. This is an invitation for you to do the thing that you keep saying they wouldn't do. Fine, here's the invitation. You say that they were punks, they were this and they were that because they didn't jump off the boat. Fine, jump out the world. Let's see what you do. You ready? Or are you just talking? This comes with an invitation. What have you been invited to? You talking about the small things. You talking about the white man this, the white man that. Fine, yeah, true. Okay, and what? And what now? They need to give us reparations. They ain't giving it to you. What you gonna do? You gonna keep staying in the same system, waiting for them to give you something they're not gonna give you? Or are you gonna go ahead and jump out the world? Are you gonna keep talking about the storm and this and that or whatever? And the Most High already told you, don't sweat that stuff, right? Peace, be still. Go back to sleep. Get back and rest. Start doing what you're supposed to do. Aman. Even the fasting. Jump out the boat. Stop eating the food. Stop eating of the world. Stop eating of the sexual activity. Some of y'all need to fast from your sexual activity. Some of you are unmarried out here speaking the word, talking this, talking that, still going ahead and masturbating or using. Let's just be adult. I'm sorry. If there's little babies, give them a break for a second, okay? If they're little babies, give them a break for a second. Some of them already know these terms anyway. But if they got if y'all got babies on here listening, if you're doing homeschooling, if you got teenagers and you're feeling not ready to hear this, let them step away for a second. But some of y'all need to fast from dildos. Some of y'all need to fast from sexual activity. Some of y'all need to fast from going and buying this flavor condom and that, this and that or whatever. Some of y'all need to fast from Cialis. Some of y'all need to fast from all this stuff. Some of y'all need to fast from some of this stuff that's killing you. Talking about you want the blessing, but you married to everybody. In our culture, sex is marriage, marriage is sex. You're not even a husband or a wife qualified to even lay down with somebody yet, and you laying down with people on a regular basis who are not the same people. Fast from it. You need to be removed from it. You got a word for everybody, but you can't make sure that you close your legs. You got a word for everybody, but you can't stop spreading your seed. Salah. You can bring the babies back on now. I'm done. Come on, preachers. I told you, Holy Spirit, they weren't going to hear this today. But it's real. Some of y'all need to fast and let it go. This is the invitation today. Choose ye this day who you will serve. Choose ye this day who you will serve. Choose today who you will serve. The invitation is out. It's been out since before the foundations of the world, but it's out. It's not about that you weren't called. And now here's the next part. Now, this is something that y'all have heard in church circles and stuff like that, but it's real, right? He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Okay? Right? He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Stop talking about you not qualified. Get into the Constitution. It'll qualify you. He didn't call you because you knew everything. Come on. He didn't call you because you knew how to do it. He called you because he saw your heart. That's why he sowed the seed. This year, once again, 2023 is the year where we're going to look beyond what we see. And we're transitioning into that very well, leading up into April 5th, where we're going to start Passover. We're February 23rd, we're going to start removing the leaven from our homes. We praise y'all for it and thank you for the love, right? Here's the next part. You ready for this, though? You ready? There might be some times where you might get invited to something that you don't think you can do. As we start meeting, doing these meetups and talking to you guys personally and doing some things, there might be something on my heart where the Holy Spirit says, hey, call them. Some of y'all have already had this happen. Holy Spirit might say, call them. I'll be like, call them for what? Just call them. And we might have a conversation and I might say, you know what? I think the Holy Spirit is telling me that you need to do this. See, See, people don't want to accept the call. I'm talking about the invitation, right? The invitation. What if you get invited to something? See, I've been slow to do this as we've been growing, but this year, some of this is going to have to happen. I was talking to somebody where they verified this for me. Praise God, right? Some of y'all going to get some invitations this year to do some things that you've never done before. Are you willing to move? Or are we just talking? We just talking it? Or are we ready to walk it? You might be invited to be part of something that you've never done. You might be invited to make phone calls and you say, I don't even like people. See, but he didn't call you because you were qualified. He's going to qualify you once he calls you. I hear you, acoustic. There you go, right? My son came down either yesterday, I think it might have been, yesterday. He's talking about, he was talking, thank you for the love, appreciate it. He's talking about he has problems sleeping and stuff, and he was saying he woke up early, he was just looking at the ceiling, and so he came downstairs and he was talking to me about it. You know what I said? I said the same thing that was said in the Bible. I said, next time that happens, son, and you're looking at the ceiling and you can't go back to sleep, I said, oftentimes that's the Most High trying to get your attention. He just got baptized recently, right? So I'm trying to tell him, that's probably the Most High talking to you and trying to communicate with you and let you know what's going on. So I said, next time that happens, I want you to tell Yahweh, say, I'm here. Tell him, like, I'm here. And he's like, yeah, because it's strange. I just be sitting. He just kept saying, it's just strange. I look at the ceiling. And I was like, it might be the Most High trying to talk to you. When you wake up and you can't go back to sleep, let him know that you're here, right? Let him know that you're present. Let him know that you're listening. That's what happened with the youth, right? That's what happened with Jeremiah. Hold on, am I getting the wrong person? I believe. Yeah, Jeremiah, right? Hey, Jeremiah, don't tell me you're too young. Is it Jeremiah? Uh-oh, I think it's Jeremiah. I believe so, right? Right? You said so many videos of people asking someone to answer a call and rewarding with money. Yeah. If you call this, if you say that, if you type that, that's the new one now on Facebook, especially I'll be seeing. If you type this in, if you type in love, then I'll make sure that I give you this on my Cash App, blah, blah, blah. Right? But he'll invite you out of your sleep. But your sleep is more important sometimes than the Most High. You'll put do you realize that a lot of people, what'd you say? 5 a.m. or since you got sick in the past couple of days? Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's not even just sickness. That's the Most High saying, I need your attention. Get up, right? But you put them on call waiting. You answer the call, and you're like, oh, man, you know what? I got something more important to do. Let me sleep. And then you say, I'll get back to you, though. Just hold on a second. And you put them on call waiting. And then when you show up and he done hung up, right? When you show up and he done hung up on you, then you're like, why you try to call him back? Why'd you hang up? And says, what you mean? I'm supposed to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, an hour for you to talk to somebody, and then you finally get back to me? Your sleep was more important than me? And not the whole music, right? You even got it set up where you give them music. Say, go ahead, right? Like, you got a situation going on in your life, right? You're walking with the Most High, everything's fine. You talking on the phone, hey man, everything's. Oh, I'm sorry, the youth do this, right? You know, you talking on the phone and doing, man, everything's great, blah blah blah, boo 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 boo, and then all of a sudden, oh man, hold on one second, my problems are calling. Can I call you right back? Or matter of fact, just stay on hold. Your problems are more important than the Most High. Seek ye first the Dak Shamayim, and all his righteousness, right, lawful standing, and all these things will be added unto thee. And give no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow will take care of the things of itself, even to the evil thereof. But you're like, hold on, y'all. I apologize, but this problem's more important. I'll get back to you though. And he's like, but you could just talk to me, and I could talk you through the problem. I could just talk to the storm, and I could say, be at peace. Well, I promise I'll get back to you though. I promise. I just give me a second. Just give me a second. You said you often woke up at 4, but then go back to sleep instead. And a lot of us do that, right? Next time you do that, I give you the same advice that I gave to my son first, which is when you get up, say, here I am. Whatever you need to do. Look, I'm tired. I don't really know what you want me to do, but I'm here. Maybe go to the table, right? When you go to sleep, you got a table somewhere, you got your nightstand somewhere, but probably get up out of bed, right? Have a book somewhere. For those of you who like to write everything down or journal your stuff, have a book. As soon as you wake up, just go sit next to the book. Okay, I don't know. You wiping the crust out and everything, right? I don't know, whatever. You know, I'm waiting, right? At least be in position. Like we say about that sports, thank you for the love. Like we talk about when we talk about sports, the best ability is availability. You're not even available for what the call is, right? You're not even available for the call. Hey, we're gonna talk at 19:30. Okay, thank you. Command the calls. You ain't near the phone. If you're not near the phone, then of course you're gonna get in trouble. You know? Right? You got to be available. Some people say, I don't know what my purpose is, but you're never available to hear the purpose. I don't know what my calling is. You're never available for the phone call. You always can do all this other stuff. I feel like if I don't do this, I'm missing out. I feel like if I don't do that, I'm missing out. I feel like if I don't do this, I won't get this word. I feel like if I don't listen to this, be available. Even if it means you got to miss some of this stuff. Hey, I'd rather you miss this than miss your calling. Come on. We'll be here every day. If you miss a day, if you miss 2 days, if you miss a week, because you got to be available for the call, take the call. That's all I do is make calls. Literally and figuratively. Literally, all I do, I just make calls. Come on. I just make calls. Hey, man, come out the system. Come out the system. Right? I get it, Moses. I see what you're doing, Moses, when they say you can't preach because you couldn't preach a message. No, you preached the message. You just kept saying the same thing over and over again. Come out of Kemet. All right, let's come out of Kemet. All right, stop acting like you in Kemet still. All right, stop acting like slaves. Okay, stop acting like slaves. All right, stop trying to kill one another. Okay, stop acting like it's all right to hoard food, right? And keep just getting food after food after food. So many people got so much food in their pantry, you would not have been allowed. I'm so glad and thankful that some of us are living the time that we live in, because you couldn't have been in the wilderness, right? Because in the wilderness, when the manna rained down, you were only supposed to take what you needed for the day. If you try to take anything and leave it to the next day, it got rotten. Nowadays, you've been trained to make sure that you get food for weeks, months, years. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing per se. I'm just saying in your mind, you have to have a refrigerator full of food that you might not even eat and throw away a whole bunch of it. You got to once a month go in your refrigerator and say, what do I need to throw out this month? Because you're getting stuff without a purpose attached, because you're not called to have a whole bunch of stuff that you can't eat. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff in your refrigerator you shouldn't eat. Come out of You know, we talk about come out the world, come out of microwave popcorn before you start dealing with all those carcinogens. Is it carcinogen, babe? Am I saying it right, babe? Carcinogenic. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Carcinogen, whatever. But you popping stuff that's killing you. You know, that's killing you. Right? You said there's food all around you out there all year round. Yeah, most that. If you don't pay attention, you can starve amongst plenty. Right? Matter of fact, you know, most people carcinogenic. Thank you, babe. Carcinogenic, right? Carcinogenic. So when you're sitting up there and you're going through those things, right? You got the radiation, you got I forget what they call it, PFOA, PFOT, something like that. That's in the bag, the lining of the bag, right? You could just do the popcorn and literally, like, you know, put it on top of put it in the skillet, right? Yeah, and we hoard the food, but not believing that the Most High can give us more the next day. It's interesting, right? Some of you, if you wanted to, right? There's places that are affordable where if you wanted to, even if you don't cook, you could still eat out every day and probably be able to price it at the same price points that you have for food that you bought that you never ate. Some of you have paid money for food you've never ate. You might as well just have barely what you need for each day. And then if you want, matter of fact, this is how some people have lost weight. I've wanted to do this. I haven't done this myself. I need to do this at some point. I need to find a place that's pretty far away to walk. There's people that literally have only got food for what they're going to eat that day, and they leave everything else empty. And they'll go for a walk every day to whatever grocery store they go to. They pick up groceries just for that day. They bring it back home, walk back, and it's a great walk. Forces them to exercise. They make the food, they eat. They allow their body to be able to go ahead and fast for the rest of the day, right? Because you got to fast at least 2-3 hours before you go to sleep after you eat, and then you wake up, and then they fast again up until it's time for them to get food again. They walk back, no matter if it's raining, no matter if it's snow, or whatever it is. They're going to do that and repeat that process and be obedient to it over and over and over again, so that by getting only what they need, their body will come back to only meet their needs. See, a lot of us are carrying extra weight. Now, I believe that people come in different shapes and sizes, but a lot of us, including myself, are carrying extra weight because we are bringing too much weight on us. See, there's an invitation. Have you invited the weight? If I invite the weight of extra food around the house, then I might be inviting the weight as well. It's a lot. The invitation is what we're talking about today. Right? Yeah, that's how you grew up, right? In Jamaica, that's how you do it. In Jamaica, that's what you're supposed to do, right? My grandmother used to be like that. I never even thought about it until now. But yeah, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she always went to the store every day. A lot of us go to the store every day when we don't need to. She went to the store every day because she didn't have food in the house. So she went to the store every day to buy something to eat. That's how she grew up. Like, you don't have food in the house every day, so you go out and get what you need every day. So she never spent, she never did a $200 shopping trip. And back then, $200 would have been crazy anyways, right? So, but you know what I'm saying? Let's put it in today's match. She never did a $200, $300, $400, $500 food shopping trip. Doesn't make sense. To her, you got what you needed for the day. You cooked what your family needed for the day. And if she did it right, you were still gonna have leftovers anyways. So she might not go to the store the next day, depending on how much we ate. If we didn't eat what she expected us to eat, you said you do that. You buy daily. It works. Yeah. That's something, like, so you'd be surprised how many of y'all probably, if anything, it probably might behoove you. I'm not saying go crazy with it and be expensive all the time, but it might behoove some of you to eat out every day as opposed to what you're doing, because you're actually spending more money on, especially on a lot of food that you will not finish. So it actually might save some of y'all money to do it that way. Now imagine if you're fasting too. Imagine if every once in a while you say, I'm just not going to eat for 3 days. How much money are you going to save? I'm sorry, technically food should not be cooked and left sitting for more than 3 hours. I didn't know that part. It makes sense though, right? Because yeah, okay, I can see that. Also too, a lot of food that gets cooked, how much food are you cooking? Do you have any food that you eat raw? Some people only eat raw foods. I've dabbled in that from time to time. I've never been successful to really do that. But, some people only eat raw foods. There's been times I've walked around and all I ate for a day was like a bag of spinach or a bag of mushrooms or something like that. Right? By the way, some of you be careful what you getting your food in. See, because when you buy the food has been sitting there in plastic over and over and over again. Or some of you will like keep plastic containers. A lot of people do this. You'll keep plastic containers around and then you put your leftovers in the plastic container. Okay, realize once you do that, all it takes is for that to be left overnight. Once it is, all the stuff that's in there, right? What do you call it? BPA. And even non-BPA products, they still have BPA. Right? You have that plastic and everything up in there. And sure enough, now all of the stuff that's in there, it permeates the food. So you shouldn't eat it anyways. So even when you cook, see, this is why you've been invited to something different. It's a different thought process. Instead of just cooking and being like, I'm hoping that you should cook with the intent. See, we don't cook with purpose. We don't live with purpose. We don't cook with purpose. We don't live with purpose. Yeah, people have become slaves to food, right? So watch this. When you cook, you ever cook to yourself saying, if I cook this amount of food, I expect all of it to be gone? Or do you cook saying, hey, I want all of it to be gone, but I want to make sure everybody's full, but I'm not going to cook any more than what just gets everybody full? A lot of you cook and say, I hope I have leftovers. See, that's not how our culture rolled either. Definitely not. See, leftovers is part of people who assume that they won't have. I know you don't want to hear. People are saying, oh, now you're just going too far. I want you to get the context, the mindset, the invitation. I'm inviting you out. I'm inviting you out of the way that you've been thinking, right? You ready for this? I'm inviting you out. Here we go. You ready for this? Okay. See, when the manna rained down from heaven, it taught us to realize that no matter what was not there at the end of the day, there was always more to be provided the next day. I'm not saying that there's no cases of us saving food, but hear what I'm saying. We had it in our mindset that we got what we needed for the day, knowing that the next day was already taken care of. That was our mindset. Even when we cooked, whatever we did with the bread, that was what we had. And we realized no matter what we did with it, there would always be something else the next day. Right? The mindset goes like this. If there's $0 in my bank account today, and somebody gives me $25, I don't mind giving the Most High $2.50 because I believe that no matter what, he can give me another 25, if not more so, because $2.50 doesn't matter to him. He owns everything. And if he wants to give me $2,500 because I gave him $2.50, he'll go ahead and do it. See, I don't mind giving him a certain percentage of my time today. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I don't mind tithing my time to him today. Why? Because whatever I give him today, if I utilize it properly and execute it tomorrow, there's something called eternity, which means there's more seasons and time to come. So even if it's in the next year, the next 2 years, if it's after my life is over, if it's in heaven, if it's in Yarashalam, the new Yarashalam, whatever it is, when I get to the next place, I'm sowing into something that's an eternal principle. I'm not focused on, I need to make sure that I have time to myself today. I would love to have nothing but time to myself. I would love to be able to have a day that's truly a day off. I would love to have a day that I don't have to get ready for a message. I would love to have a day I don't have to worry about, okay, I might have to call 20, 30 people, or at least, or maybe have 10 calls and in 50 texts and look at the emails and make sure I'm writing this out and keep trying to work on getting the books together and make sure I have a lesson plan. And all. I would love to have that, but I comprehend that the more I give and the more I cheerfully give, and I cheerfully give because it's my calling that I accept it. And since I'll cheerfully give, I know that I'll cheerfully receive. See, if I see whatever you give, you get back, right? See, whatever you give, you get back. Oh, my greatness, Holy Spirit, come on now. Whatever I give, I'm gonna get back, right? So if I give it, are you with me? If I give it cheerfully, then that means that Yahweh looks and he says, "Ooh, I'm psyched about that. Let me give too, cheerfully." And then he gives it to me and I receive it cheerfully. I say, "Ooh, I like that. I got to give it right back cheerfully." And he says, "Ooh, he gave me more this time." Cheerfully, because I gave him more last time. So he gave me more this time. Ooh, I like that. I'm excited. Let me go ahead and put a little extra on that. Let me throw it his way again. And I say, ooh, I felt that in the kingdom inside of me. I said, oh, I can't wait to get that out and get more of it the next time. And he says, ooh, I like the fact that he gave more this time again. He's a great steward. He is faithful over a few things. Let me go ahead this time. Let me press it down, shake it together, and run it all over, and then let me throw it upon him again. So this time he's been faithful over a few things. This time let's see what he does with many of them. And then I get it. Ooh, that's many right there. Man, I was doing this much with this and this and this. Now that we got many, let's try and see if we can do it again. And I throw it back up. See, you don't comprehend. Cheerful giver, I'm giving. I've been invited to give. I've been invited to give. And here's the great part about it. See, I'm getting excited. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Like I feel it's down in my toes, right? Like here's the great thing about giving. I'm giving about what I do, right? What I've been called to do. See, because I've been called to do it, I love it. I accepted it. I made it my own. I take ownership over the things I do. I'm accountable unto him. He is the one that gets the glory. I'm cool with it. I'm awesome with it. I know that I can do this just about as well as anybody else can, because can't nobody do it the way I do it anyways, which means that I'm always going to have my niche or niche or however you say that word. So therefore, I'm excited when I get to do what I do, because can't nobody do what I do because nobody's me. And so now that I'm excited about it, and I give it, and I give it, and I give it, I receive it and receive it. That's right. And I received it. I gave it so I could receive it. I gave it so I could receive it. I gave it so I could receive it. And he keeps giving me more. So I keep getting more excited. So every time I give cheerfully. I can't help but be a cheerful giver because I love what I do, because I was created for this. We're talking about today about the invitation. I was created for this. Can't nobody do this like me. Not saying can't nobody do this. I'm saying can't nobody do this like me. So I'm excited to give this because I give myself. Ain't nothing like when you love you. When you love you, some T.O. said, Terrell Owens once said, I love me some me. And everybody got mad at him. But I ain't mad at you, bro, because I love me some me too. And so when I give you what is me, I'm excited to give it to you. T.O. is excited to go on the football field, even to this day, at what, 48, 49, 50, whatever it is, and people still be like, yo, if he really wanted to, or if somebody give him a chance, he might not be the number one receiver, but he can still play in the NFL because he loves what he does. I love what I do. My wife is excellent at being able to give her product out, to be able to make sure that people are healed. Why? Because she loves what she does. She could have made more money at some point doing something else, and she's making a lot now, and she's going to continue to make a lot. And I have his name. We authorize that, and we agree with that, right? But we agree with that. She could have stayed in another place where she was already doing something, but she does what she loves. So you're going to get a better product from her than somebody that doesn't love what they do. You're going to get a better look on the product. You're going to get a better taste of the product. You're going to get, because everything she does is done in love. You ever had cooking from somebody and they cook it and it tastes like it's what it's supposed to taste like, but it don't taste like what somebody else does? Why? Because you can taste the love. Like that person put themselves, you know, when somebody says you put your foot in that, what they saying is you walk in that. That's your anointing in that. Like, man, when you make that food, that thing tastes like you. That's what they're saying. You hear what I'm saying? That's what they're saying is you love this. This is you. This is not just macaroni and cheese right here. Like there's mac and cheese by the book. There's mac and cheese out of the Kraft. There's Kraft macaroni and cheese. There's Velveeta cheese. There's 5 macaroni and cheese. But there's somebody out there that got the cheese and got the love and got like the hard edges and everything. You know what I'm saying? It'd be looking all nasty and stuff on the end with the grease and all that stuff. Like that might be greasy to some. And it is technically, right? But that might be greasy to some. But for somebody out there, they look at that, they say, that's love. Mama loved me when she made that. Mess around. My mother-in-law, mess around and let her make some velvet cake. That's love right there. That's not it. Look, there's a lot of great velvet cake recipes, but she gonna make one and you gonna be like, ooh, that's her right there. Don't nobody else do that like her. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some things that you do. You see what I'm saying? That, yeah, when you put your love in, how you doing? When you put your love in, when you put your heart, when you're cheerful about it, you're cheerful about it because it's you. It's the kingdom. You can't help but be cheerful when you give that gift. If it's tough for you to give, you might have to ask yourself, is it you that you're giving? Bacon makes you happy? I'm on. Right? Do what makes you happy, but that's what you're called to do. See, because people do this weird thing. I'm gonna do me. But are you really doing you, or are you just doing what you want to do rather than what you're called to do? You might be called to something that you never thought you could do. I told y'all in my life, I swear up and down, I thought at one point I was going to be a musician. That's my first love. I've also thought in my life I was going to be somebody who made money playing video games. In my life, I thought I was going to do the military, make it a career, right? You couldn't have told me, even though I knew I might be speaking and teaching, I didn't think that I'd be doing anything close to what I do now, especially on a daily basis. And then you tell me that the Most High would take care of my family while I was able to do it. Like you would have missed me with that, right? But in doing it, I realized that in accepting the call, I become happier. I still can't make money. You know, my son might end up doing the stuff to make money, right? As much as he playing the games, you might as well, you know. But I'm just trying to tell you, like, I swear, I thought that's what I was going to do. But I was called to something. And that meant I had to come out of those things for a little bit. Like y'all know, some of y'all been around long enough. I was never a great singer, but I used to be able to do nice falsetto stuff. I can't sing like that anymore. It's gone because I'm always talking in this register, right? That's why Michael Jackson, a lot of people don't know Michael Jackson had to speak like the way that he did in high register. People think that he did that just because he wasn't attracted to women, this and that. If he didn't speak like that, he couldn't keep the same falsetto. So he had to speak in the range he wanted to be able to speak in. He was called to that. So he had to give up even what you would call masculinity, right? To be able to make sure that he could still do that. Now, I know there's other things that he was dealing with, stuff from his childhood and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying the reason he did that was actually because if you don't speak in that range, you can't keep it. Not the way he needed to, right? So I stopped singing in that range, especially when COVID happened. And basically I started losing the ability to be able to do that, right? But what you're called to see, so when I'm called to something, but see, I'm happy before, and it still bothers me a little bit in my flesh from time to time, but I'm happy to be able to give that up if it means that I could do this every day. If it means that I could study this more every day. If it means that I could focus on this rather than focus on my, literally as the siren goes by, as the siren exercises where you would just go up as high as you could and go down as high as you could. I could teach somebody else to do it still. So it's nice. I can help somebody with their voice. Praise Yah. But it goes into my gift because my gift is teaching. So he'll still allow me to teach somebody how to sing, even if I don't go ahead and sing. Put that book down, because it must be the white man's version of the book and blah, blah, even though you don't know about the actual version of the book I'm holding. But, put that book down. Blah, 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 blah. Put it down. Learn how to listen. You've been invited today to listen. If you want to go ahead and be empathetic, you can definitely do that, right? I'll be empathetic towards you. Let's make a deal. We'll listen to each other. All right. So, right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't recognize what's going on, right? You got to be willing to be you. I cheerfully am me. And I've studied to be me. I'm not just me. I don't just pick up the book to offend somebody, right? Who doesn't even know what it is. And even just talking trash now, right? Will not say hello or anything, but it's okay. Please don't block the person or mute them or anything. See, because I love it when people are themselves. See, you got to invite people to even be themselves. That's part of the invitation. Are you willing to invite people to be themselves? Oh, somebody was already on it. Thank you. Right? Are you willing to let people be themselves? Are you willing to let people show you who they are? See, a lot of you guys won't do what Maya Angelou taught us. She said, if somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If somebody can't even say hello, invite them to say that they can't say hello, so that you can see that they're not even worthy of being a human being or treating you, as a human being. Yeah, you did. Like I was saying, it's cool that y'all was doing your thing. That's why I was trying to say it real quick, because I know y'all be on it, right? I appreciate y'all for doing that. I just wanted to let you know, like, not a person that have anything to say, so maybe they should have just remained muted. I don't know. But, you let them show you who they are. We're talking about what? The invitation. I invite you to be yourself. I invite you to be yourself. How you doing, Minister Sonia? I invite you to be yourself. I told y'all this message was going to be a little, people don't like this type of thing, but this causes introspection. But didn't we just say that earlier? Some of you invite people to walk away from you because you can't be empathetic. You can't see something from somebody else's point of view, even if you don't like it. The least somebody can say is hello. Before you start talking bad about me, talking bad about what I represent, talking bad about this, at least somebody can say hello. If I invite you to a conversation and you can't even say hello, but you can start telling me how I look bad or how I shouldn't, show this book or how I do this or how I do that, right? The least we could say is hello, and how you doing? Is it me myself, right? The least somebody could do, if they can't start off with that coming into your environment, and they come in telling you why your environment is terrible and this and that, and I don't like this, I don't believe this, blah, blah. They've already shown themselves. See, invitation is powerful when you know how to use it, when you know what it's for. How you doing, Grumpy? Right? And I wasn't saying you guys, if you haven't said hello yet, you have to say hello. I'm just saying in general, right? If I'm meeting somebody and I believe that a baby is a baby since before conception, therefore inside the womb, and you have tried to, and you've gone by this new version of things where they came up with new terms to be able to tell you a baby is not a baby, right? It doesn't mean that I can't shake your hand, look you in the eye, and say, hello, how are you doing? That's the problem. See, before you start talking about how to tell the person that believes in abortion how terrible a human being they are. Oh, no problem. Like I said, I'm not saying y'all have to say hello. Like I said, I'm not saying y'all be disrespectful. I'm saying that particular person, right? You can tell what they were about, right? What I'm saying is like, if I meet somebody that believes in abortion, I can still shake your hand. Can I not? See, y'all get to the point. I don't even want. I'm not gonna touch that. Though, blah blah. Like you can't. You're not gonna get anybody into the kingdom. You can't have a conversation. How in the world you gonna teach and you can't have a conversation? I mean, some people do it all the time, I guess. Right? You can't show the person love. I've had people come to me after having multiple abortions and tell me how many problems they're having physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, etc. But you can't take it. You can't even talk to somebody. Right? We got people that'll throw paint on somebody's fur coat to tell them how much they disagree with something. You think that person's gonna go ahead and change their perspective because you threw paint on them? If anything, now you're just giving them mental health issues. You become a stumbling block. According to your constitution, that's not cool. According to your constitution, you can treat by living water. Yeah, we need to love and help and meet them where they are. There's a generation right now being raised to tell you that they don't have a right to be able to say whether they believe something's a baby or not. Not because they know it's not a baby or they do know it's a baby, but because they're not supposed to talk about it or else they'll get canceled. Amen. Disrespect never brings respect, right? See, you live in a culture that says it's more important not to be canceled than it is to stand up for what you believe in. And you believe in a culture that says that it's more important to not be canceled than it is to actually just say hello or shake somebody's hand. Some of you live opposite. You believe that it's more important to cancel somebody than it is for you to actually show them love. Where's your heart at? Is that part of the invitation? Amen. Love is key. Is that part of the invitation? By this will men know that you are my disciples, by the way that you love one another. But you go to the church, I mean, hey, the lights look great. I love the color of the carpet. I love the altar, even though that's not an altar, because altars are not supposed to be altered. You know that, right? Like if you go somewhere and they have an altar and it looks like somebody has crafted something upon it, then it's not an altar. You can call it a stage, but don't call it the altar. When they say come to this altar, that's not an altar. Right? Go look up what altars are. Altars are things that you literally would go around. You would get rocks, and you would get stone, and you would get, rocks and stone. You would get stone, you would get wood, you would get all these different types of things or whatever and lay it out. Right? You were not supposed to alter the appearance of what you laid out. Right? And shalom to you, Sister Sandra. Right? So altar. Right? We alter things before we bring it to the altar. You haven't been invited to alter this word. Matthew chapter 5, verse 18 says, you should not change one jot or tittle. That's the most minuscule of measurements, nor even the way it is written. Yet people keep talking about that we need to keep altering the way it's written. So what do you do when you're harassed and defamed by someone constantly? I don't know what the exact situation is. Maybe we can talk about it on the phone and try to figure it out. I would say boundaries. If somebody's in a position to constantly do that, now that's what we're going to talk about the situation. If it's at the job, it can be something, but even in that, that's just stuff that comes with that. But if we have somebody in our personal lives that keeps crossing boundaries, it's like I was talking about with the devil. We'll blame the devil. Sometimes we got to look at ourselves. Why do we keep allowing this person to cross those boundaries? How you doing, Marky? Right. Why do we keep allowing people to cross those boundaries? Should we allow that person to keep crossing those boundaries? Should we? So I don't know. I'd have to see what the actual, and some of it we probably shouldn't talk about in front of everybody anyways. But yeah, there are definitely people that are going to cross boundaries if we let them. See, the first time you cross the boundary, all right. Second time you come around, see, I turned the other cheek first time, right? Which means that I know you might try to cross the boundary again. But just because I turned the other cheek doesn't mean I'm not prepared to defend myself. First time I let you get away with the slap, you struck me. I was like, oh, okay. All right, hurt people, no problem. If I'm going to try and help you again, I'm turning the other cheek, but I might take a defensive posture. You trying to do something this time, I might, do something to you, right? Or whatever, right? You said people treat you how you teach them, but you allow and do not allow. Yeah, people say people treat them how you treat you how you treat them, if they're in the same system of thought process, for sure, right? But people will treat you how you teach them. There's certain things that people know if they come around. Like, I don't care if people cuss around me, but a lot of people, when they come around me, they'll stop cussing. You know why? Because I live a certain way, so my actions teach like this is that. I never taught them, hey, you don't have to. I never came out my mouth and said you cannot curse around me, because you might not live by my standard. So if you want to curse, you can curse yourself. And if you say something towards me, then I got to tell you ain't gonna curse me, right? But you want to curse yourself and do this or whatever, like, you have every right to. That's what you do. Like, you have a right. There's laws to protect me from that. There's laws to protect yourself to be able to get the consequences of what you curse yourself with. But when it comes to cursing me, there's a boundary, right? Like, you can be around my wife and I, and you can curse and do this stuff or whatever in a certain time. But if you start doing stuff where you come into our environment and the environment is set up to where you shouldn't be doing that, especially, right? Like, you come into a place that's supposed to be a family restaurant, or you come into a place that children are running around, but you just cursing to everybody knowing that this is specifically made for children, then yeah, like, I'm going to say something to you. Because there's a boundary, there's a law, there's a principle. You said you have created an environment that goes with you in and out. You come in and go, there you go, right? And I've learned, like Solomon said he wanted to learn, right? King Solomon said he wanted to learn. I want to know how to go in and out, just like my father did. I want to know how to be able to do the things that he did, right? But there's an invitation to that. Now, once again, let me go back to this, right? He does not qualify the called, he does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called, right? That we've heard that a lot of times before, especially if you've been in churches in your life. He does not qualify. He does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called, right? He does not invite you because you're qualified to do it, right? So don't be somebody. A lot of people do this, right? Especially because you're in the resumes and things like that and having a job and all that stuff. You've been trained to basically not accept calls sometimes, or an invitation from the Most High. Why? Because you believe that you're not qualified. And like I was saying, this year, you're going to be called, invited to do some things that you are not qualified to do. Don't say, I won't accept the call because I'm not qualified. Don't accept the call if it's not from the Most High. But you will be asked to do some things. Like, for example, I'm just putting this out there, right? I haven't asked anybody specific. There's some people that I'm kind of looking at the side of my eye. You probably already know that I am. When I say this, it'll probably click with you, a couple of you. But I haven't called you, or I haven't invited you to do this. But there are some of you, as we're growing countrywide, that you don't have too many people that might be in your area, but all of a sudden it's starting to grow, where you start to have a bunch of people in your area. Well, guess what? You might be called or invited to be able to be the person that calls the other people in your area, so that you can actually meet up with the people. See, you've been praying. How you doing, Sister Beverly? Praise y'all. I was just thinking y'all hadn't been on yet. Praise y'all, right? So you might be called. You might be called. See, watch this. Why are you called? You've been praying. Can I meet up with people in my area? Can I love on people in my area? Can I do this? Can I do that? There's nobody here that's with me. There's nobody here. This is just my family and I. We're the only people. My children are acting wrong because they can't be around children of Yah and all this stuff, right? So guess what's going to happen? The Most High says, okay, cool. You've been praying for this. I've heard the cries of my people, Moses. I heard the cries of my people. You've been praying to me. It's time. It's time. Thank you, Sister Nadine. It's time. All right, let's go ahead and get this together. Right? I'm going to call you. I'm going to invite you. We got all these people in your city now. You've been saying you want to be with these people. You've been saying you want this to work out. Okay, cool. You might have to make the phone call now. I'm inviting you to it. I haven't said anything, but some of y'all probably know who I'm looking at, or you might even feel in the spirit, right? But I'm just telling you, now is the time. You've been praying for it. You've been asking for it. Here comes the movement. Here comes SOC. Here comes Yastel. Here comes this camp and this one and this witness and all this stuff or whatever. Here they come. All right, cool. You've been asking for it. Now here comes the call. Will you suffer? I'm not qualified to that. I don't really talk to people. Will you suffer? Well, it's just me, Elohim. I don't talk that well. Look, I'm sending Aaron. I'm sending Kofi to be able to help. I'm going to have somebody else in the area help you. There's a minister in there already. All you need to do is just answer and bring some text every once in a while. I'm inviting. You said you needed this. Okay, here it comes. I've heard the prayers of my people. I heard you. Thank you for the love, right? I heard the prayers of my people. I heard you. You've been called. But I can't speak. My mouth was burned when I was young, and this is that. I didn't call you, Moses, because you could speak. I didn't ask you to speak because you could speak. Well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Well, Moses, I didn't ask you to speak because you could speak. I asked you to speak because I heard the cries of my people. Oh, that's what we said earlier. It's got to be bigger than you, right? I didn't ask you to preach because you were qualified to preach. I asked you to preach because I heard the cries of my people. Come on, Kofi, talk to yourself. I didn't ask you to preach because you can preach like that. I asked you to preach because I heard the cries of my people. I didn't look at your preaching skills. I looked at your heart. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I didn't look at your skills. I didn't look at how you presented yourself. I didn't care about what people thought about your hair. I didn't care what people thought about your height and your weight, and they bullied you for being tall and this and that. I didn't care about all those things. I didn't care about your military prowess and all those things. Those things help. But at the end of the day, I looked at your heart. I could have found somebody homeless on the street if I wanted to, but I happen to know that you had a better heart than them. Don't think it's because of this. Matter of fact, remember, you were homeless on the street, Kofi. So be empathetic when people are coming on and saying stuff, and be willing to take some of that stuff, because it's not about you. I can care less. That's why I picked you. You don't even care about the outer appearance like that, even though you wear certain things that I honor you, what you wear. But get what I'm saying? You don't even care about that. You're not worried that people make fun of you or say something about your beard or do this, because you comprehend it's about the heart. I didn't choose you because of your appearance, Kofi. I chose you because of your heart. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a narcissist. Sometimes you got to speak to yourself, even in these things. It hits you first. Praise God. Sometimes that word is for you. I'm just trying to tell you, he's saying the same thing to you. Like, I didn't choose you because you could cook. I chose you because of your heart. I didn't choose you because you were a great woman. I chose you because of your heart. You weren't qualified to be a wife. I'm the one that came and chose you because I saw your heart and I could work with the ingredients, and I gave you the cookbook. And if you will look to this page in the cookbook, it'll tell you the ingredients. If you turn the page and keep on staying within context, it will tell you how to be able to make it. If you stay on the page and you stay in context the next one, it'll tell you how to make sure what temperature needs to be on, the amount you need to give, all those things. I didn't choose you because you were a complete recipe yet. I chose you because you had the ingredients. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? I didn't choose you because you had the house yet. I chose you because you had the ingredients to get the house. I didn't choose you because you had the land yet. I chose you because you had the ingredients to get the land. I saw your heart. Come on, Pavel, or some people say Paul or Paul, right? I knocked you off your beast, not because you were righteous. You were killing my people. I knocked you off of your beast because I saw your heart. And if I could simply introduce to you the kingdom, I know enough about your heart where you'll get it together. I didn't invite you to this because you were qualified. I invited this to you because I saw your passion. I saw your heart. Oh, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that right there. Like, see, somebody, you won't accept the invitation because you don't want to, because you don't think that you are qualified, right? You think you're not competent, and therefore you're not confident. You might be confident without the competence. You might be competent without the confidence. But guess what? He didn't call you because you know everything. He invited you because he knows your heart. He didn't call you because that's what you've always wanted to do since you were born. He called you because he knows that's what you were created for. And you might not have even been introduced to what you really want to do. He called you to something that they said you weren't supposed to do from kindergarten. When you said, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. And they said, you know what, I'm not going to do, you can't do that. And you can't do this and you can't do that. Do you hear what I'm saying? They took that away from you. They said you couldn't be a dancer. They said that you couldn't be this. They said you couldn't be that. They said you couldn't live in your community. They said you couldn't have this. They put you in ghettos. They put you in slums. They told you that you were ignorant. They told you had to speak like somebody else. He said, I'm calling you back to the thing that they told you wasn't great. I'm calling you back to where you don't have to code switch, but you can live in the code. I'm calling you back to make sure that you can be a code breaker, that you might become a curse breaker. I'm calling you out of wickedness into marvelous light. You were never supposed to be born in a place where you had no enlightenment. Confusion was all about. You were supposed to be something different, and you've never been introduced to yourself. Let me call you into something you've never seen, so you can do something you've never done, so you can feel a way you've never felt. That was always my intent for you, but sin got in the way. It was my intent for you, but the world got in the way. It was my intent for you, but school got in the way. It was my intent for you, but sex got in the way. It was my intent for you, but not knowing what sex you were got in the way. It was my intention for you for the beginning. But somebody messed your boundaries up. I'm inviting you out of the borders of United States Corporation into my marvelous light. I'm inviting you out of the borders of the Western world into Afrocentric thought. I'm inviting you out of, is it black or white versus is it the kingdom of Yah? I'm inviting you out of Talmudic principles and bringing you back into Tanakh. I'm inviting you out. I'm calling you. Will you answer the call? Will you answer the call, or will you keep putting me on call waiting, or will you not even answer? Will you have a conversation with me? I'm not going to bust in your house. I'm going to knock on the door. How you doing, New Africa? I'm not gonna come to your house. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna beat you. I'm not gonna beat you up. See, here's the wild part. I can't do anything without your permission. If I suffer for you, it's only because you gave me permission to suffer. Come on, somebody. Yahshua did not have to die. He only died because Adam invited him to die. And when Adam invited him to die, Adam had to be willing to die himself. Did you catch that? The only reason why Yahshua had to die is because of an invitation that was given. He didn't have to die. You didn't have to die. Come on, somebody. He got on the cross because of an invitation. I could let y'all go ahead and just stay separated from me and live in hell for the rest of eternity. Or I had already made an agreement to die. Barashayat. Right? For those who get the reference. The first word of the Bible is actually Barashat, 6 characters long. Bet Aleph Resh Shin Yad Tav, which means what? The son who comes out of the right family, who's one with the Father, becomes our head, being destroyed by being led by the Holy Spirit to the cross. First word. So from the beginning, the invitation was extended. Adam, if you mess up, I've already got it in place that I'm willing to die. If you mess up and you have to die, I'm willing to die that you might live. Right? If I am resurrected and you're a fellow heir, that means you can be resurrected too. There's an invitation. Whatever he does, we're invited to do it. If he can be a king, you can be a king. If he can be a king, you can be a queen. But we talking about spiritually. Spiritually, you can be a king, right? If he can be a bat at Yashva, right? You can be bat at. I'm sorry. If he can be bat at Yashva, you can be bat at Yashva at bar at Yashva, or you can be a child of Yashva, right? Whatever he does, he invites you to it. Be ye holy is the invitation. What? As I am holy. I'm only inviting you to what I do. So watch this. If he says, watch this. Thou preparest the table in the presence of thine. Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys going to go away on TikTok or not. Okay, cool. All right. So if he says, thou preparest the table in the presence of mine enemies, that means that if he's invited you to the table where your enemies are, that means he's at the table with you. He's not inviting you to anything that he's not a part of himself. That's part of the invitation. Are you inviting people to things that you don't live yourself? Come on, somebody. Have you been inviting people to things that you don't live yourself? You're telling your child to be holy, but what are you? Telling your spouse they don't do what they're supposed to do, but what do you do? Telling people that you don't know the Bible, but you don't even know what barashat is. You don't even know how to write it out. That's the first word of the Bible. How you doing, off grid? The first word of the Bible is barashat. You think it's Genesis, or you think it's in beginning or in the beginning. You think there's a word the, but in Hebrews there's no word the. You don't know the culture, but you're willing to look down upon somebody else when you won't research yourself. Whatever you invite somebody to, you should invite them to where. See, watch this. If I invite you to my house, I can't invite you to something that I don't have authority over. How do I send an invitation to something I'm not authorized? How do I give an invitation when I'm not authorized to give it? What sense does that make to be like, yo, we're going to have a party. We're going to go over your son's place. Everybody show up at 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow, right? Go ahead, fly, and we're going to be at his house. That's crazy, right? That's crazy, right? Not authorized. But here we go. Hey, I'm not authorized to tell you to come on in, but hey, come on into what I'm teaching. Come on into what it is. I'm not willing to live it, but come on in. I'm not willing to present myself righteous, but come on in. I'm not willing to do this. I'm not willing to wear this. I'm not willing to speak this. I'm not willing to grow in this. I'm not really to love this. I'm not really to support this. I'm not really, but come on in. No jurisdiction, but come on in. I'm a sovereign citizen. Ain't no such thing. You're sovereign or you're a citizen. See, I can already see you don't have respect for authority. You don't have respect for law. Yahshua says several times in the Sermon on the Mount, law, 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 law. Everybody's so busy saying it doesn't matter about law. Yahshua says law over and over again. Quoting law. Deuteronomy 6:4 is where you get what you call the first law, when you say he only had 2 laws. Which he never said. He said on those 2 laws, go the other ones, or hang the other ones, or those 2 laws are foundational to everything else. And when you study that, not only did he quote Deuteronomy 6:4, he's also quoting really the 10 commandments. The first 4 deal with loving Elohim with all the heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then the next 6 are dealing with loving your neighbor as you love yourself. See, but you're so busy talking about getting something in faith and having no works. And then you try to figure out why your people seem to be dead. Oh, it's because faith without works is dead. But Ezekiel 37, those dry bones, it's time for them to live. Kwame Yashida, them dry bones, it's time. It's time to get up. It's time to get up. Come on, dry bones. I'm dry in my wallet. It's time to get up. I'm dry in my business. Get with the community that will support you. It's time to get up. I'm having problems with my memory and remembering and coming back to the remembrance of who we were. Well, it's time to get up. There's a bunch of us out here. It didn't just say, see, watch this. I love it. It didn't say it was just one dry bone that got some flesh on it. It didn't say it was one person that got up. But when you read it, it talks about it was an army that got up. It's time for them dry bones to get up and live. Right? And here's the thing. The dry bones, they might have been buried, but we knew where they were. So all we're doing is just unearthing what was already there. We are just unearthing what was always there. It's time for you to unearth what was always there. The invitation has been set. I know they buried you. They buried your family name. They counted you out. They said you'll never get out. There'll never be anything. You'll just be people that go into prison. You'll just be another statistic. Might I say this? And even if there's children listening, I'm going to just go ahead and say it the same way, because some children, some of y'all even have dealt with this. Real talk. People have abused you. People have messed with you. People have taken away your innocence. Some of you deal with that every day. You've been buried underneath it. But I'm telling you today, although I empathize with it, it's time for those dry bones to get some flesh and some sinew and some things around them. It's time for them to start coming back together. It is possible that you might be able to be chaste even when somebody has forcefully taken your chastity, male or female. Do you hear what I'm saying? It is possible to forgive somebody even if you don't trust them. It is possible to forgive because the forgiveness gets it off you. You're invited today. Even if it's just a step, I invite you to take a step because a step is better than staying in the same place. Take a step out. Put a toe in the water. Taste and see that Elohim is in fact constitutional. The water's fine, believe it or not. It's worth it. It's worth the suffering. Suffering is you're going to choose to. And I'm not going to tell you is every step's going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you that because that would be a lie. But I'm telling you every step is worthy of the glory which shall be revealed. It's worth it. Every step is worthy. It's worth it. Every step has value. It's worthy of the glory which shall be revealed. Thank you for being part of the community, Darren. It's worthy of it. It didn't say every step would be easy. Every step is worth it. Every step is worth it. Read Psalm 120 through 134 and read a step a day. Read what you would call a chapter a day or a division a day. Read 120, then 121, and 122, then 123. Each day, read a different one. And you will discover that you'll start seeing that it is worth it. Right? It's worth it. Amen. If you got to walk, not run. If you got to crawl, not walk. If you got to roll. Right? If you ain't got no limbs, but you can do whatever you got to do. I know things have been cut off of your life and it doesn't feel the same way. But guess what? Just move. Accept the call. If you've been invited to roll yourself. Right? When it was time for me to eat yesterday, right? I limped my way, walking the dog, holding food on the way back with the dog in hand, all that, whatever I got to do, right? But it was worth for me to eat, knowing that I had to have enough strength to do some of the things I needed to do. So it was worth it. You hear what I'm saying? It's worth it. We find it worth it to do the mundane. I'm not asking you to do the mundane. I'm asking you to do the profound, right? I'm not asking you to do what poverty-stricken people do. I'm asking for you to live rich. What's the difference between a rich person and a poor person? A lot of times it's just simply the rich person acts rich. There's a lot of poor rich folk. And there's a lot of rich poor folk. People get mad. Middle class people be mad, talking about how come this person is on food stamps and this person barely gets anything. This person doesn't even work at all. They only make $30,000 a year. This person only makes $40,000 a year, but they go on vacation and blah blah. Because your life is set up, even in middle class, where you don't get to take none. I've told y'all this before. I said it before. I say it again. Right? There's an old joke that basically says that there was a guy who was working really hard for his company, who was putting time in, putting effort in and all that. And his boss comes up to him. His boss says, wow, I see all the effort you're doing, man. When I get back, from vacation, I'm gonna have a talk with you. So he goes on vacation. He comes back from vacation. He talks to the guy. He says, look, man, I see how you were doing stuff while I was gone. You were moving, doing all these things or whatever, man. I just want to let you know, I appreciate you. And if you work harder next year, you give more hours and you give more time and you give more effort and you give more energy. He said, I promise you, if you do that, I'll be able to take a better vacation next year than I did this year. Right. So a lot of middle class people have put themselves in a position to where they are they're debt slaves. They can't get out. Right. They work so that somebody else might live. So you sacrifice, but it's not for what you want to sacrifice for. You know what I'm saying? Where you start in the Bible, start with culture, start with Genesis. If you don't know about the culture, you're always more than welcome to get in contact with us. We're just about at the end, so we're going to have our information pop up on the screen very soon. And thank you guys for being on. We appreciate you, right? How you doing, daughter of the King of Zion, right? But you got to realize there's a lot of poor rich people A lot of rich people who basically still live like poor people, scurrying about, doing this, doing that, hoping this. You see them in suits, but you don't realize like they're just putting on the suits, hoping that y'all think is there. Maybe you'll like them on Instagram. Maybe when they show up to the game, you guys will say that they're this and that or whatever. Very poor in mindset. My wife, I think my wife saw this. I think my wife and I saw this. We saw what's his name? Who's the dude that be always saying Khaled, DJ Khaled, always be saying we the best, right? He was at a basketball game. I don't know if y'all saw this before. He had on like some pink shoes that was like shoes that hadn't come out yet. And so he this was so wild, this image. Like you see him in these pink shoes on a pink pillow. And I already knew what was going on because I've seen people in the hood do this to where like they won't necessarily do it to that extent, but they don't wear the shoes. They carry the shoes everywhere, or they make sure like the shoes are always in the shoebox or something. But DJ Khaled take it to the next level. He basically wore the shoes, put them on a pink pillow, had some pink shoes on, put them on a pink pillow, and had like some kind of thing flowing at the pillow or something. And they were like, well, why is he doing that? He said that these, yeah, he was like, these shoes can't touch the ground because they are not out yet, but they're brand new. They can't touch the ground. So he literally had somebody, that means he had to walk in there with other shoes, have somebody take those shoes off. Hopefully he did, who knows, right? Then have a pillow and everything set out, have his shoes put on, but then make sure that those shoes were put on top of the pillow. And then he sat there during the game with his feet on the pillow. Come on now, right? That's a poor rich man. I know somebody says, no, look at the opulence. That's poverty mindset. That's a poverty mindset. I cannot imagine if you wasted all that just to put some shoes on a pillow. I can only imagine what that man spends money on. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I have a right to be able to speak on that man's money like that, but I just want to tell you that part of it is a poverty mindset. You ain't gonna be able to tell me that's not a poverty mindset. You know how I know? Because people who are poor do the same thing. Won't wear basketball shoes to play basketball, but to pay $250, and you better not step on their shoe or they will kill you. That's a poverty mindset. Somebody don't want to hear that, but that's real. That's a poverty mindset. You got all that money and you can't afford to wear shoes and walk around in them. Proverbs 13 verse 7 was brought up. That's where it says, there is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. Praise y'all for you, Sister Bree. You coming with it today. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches. You see that? Now, what does the verse before it say? This is really the crucial part when you put the two together. It says righteousness, which is right lawful standing or right legal standing. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. There is that maketh himself rich, that's righteousness, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches, that's wickedness. You see? Another thing that's been floating around social media, we got to get ready to take our leave. So it's 11 a.m. So I won't be over there. Overcompensation. There you go. Right. Showing off. Right. How you doing, Brother Ali? Hopefully staying out there. It's very dramatic. Right. Now watch this. Right. And I idolize him. Right. That's what we you can make an idol out of anything. So watch this. Last thing as we get ready to take our leave. Okay. Last thing. And all this stuff that people are doing, you've been invited to be different. Right? You've been invited to be different. Right? Revelation chapter 2, verse 9 tells us that you might think that you are poor, but you are really rich. It depends on what you're looking for as far as riches. You might think that you are poor, but you are really rich. How you doing, Carolyn? Thanks for being part of the community. So you might think that you're poor, but you're really rich. The question is, what culture or what kingdom or what is your status or what is your standard for status? What is your standard for status? You've been invited out of that wicked system, that standard, to be under a new standard. Understand? So in all you're getting in this culture, get an understanding, get something you can stand under. Right? Get something you can stand under. You've been invited to walk differently, to talk differently, to love differently, to create differently, to do business differently. People be talking all the time. I can't believe that you guys don't do this and that you guys don't charge. You guys let people do stuff via donation. You guys yeah, we do. I can't believe that if I was in charge, I wouldn't do blah blah. That yeah, you know what? That's why you're not called to do this. We don't walk that. And by the way, if your ministry, whatever you want to call it, does it different, that's fine. Like I ain't mad at you because you do it different. It's okay that you do it different. It's okay. You know that, right? Like it's okay that you do it different, but see where we are, we okay with doing it different too. We're okay with doing it the way the Most High says do it. It's it's okay for us to be led in a different manner. Right? It's okay. It's a powerful thing to do what we're led to do and to be ourselves. It's a powerful thing for us to do what we're doing and be ourselves in the kingdom. It's okay for our status, what gives us status within our community, to be different. That's one of the reasons you get community, y'all. That's one of the reasons you need culture. That's one of the reasons you need to become a nation, a holy nation, a peculiar people. See, what's peculiar, gives you status in your kingdom should be peculiar. Remember, before everybody spent the same money, before the Rothschilds started saying, hey, you know, everybody just started using the same thing and started putting banks in every country and started giving you checks and then turning that into money and doing this and that, and then trying to get you to compete, and they're basically saying everybody's going to be under the same coin now, right? That exists now in 2023. Before all that started happening, every country you went to, they had their own standard for status. They had their own coins. Yes, we got gold, but you got gold. It was the weight of gold that was important. It wasn't the style of gold that was important to every other country, right? So in our country, what something looked like, it had to look like that for us. But if we're dealing with something else, they don't deal with this. So we deal with the glory, the weight. Remember, that's what the part of the definition of glory is: the weight, the heaviness. Something that's heavy enough to leave an imprint upon you when it lands on you. Right? So we're inviting you out. We talked about today the invitation. We talked about the invitation. We talked about the invitation. We invite you to another country, another kingdom. And yes, well, I'm an American. That's a republic. It's a kingdom. I'm a Mexican. That's a republic. It's a kingdom. I'm a Canadian. That's a republic. It's a kingdom. I'm a Russian. That's a republic. It's a kingdom. I'm Chinese. That's a republic. It's a kingdom. But they're communists. Still a republic. We're Democrats. Still a republic. Or Democratic. Still a republic. I'm a Republican or a Democrat. Still a republic. We invite you out of something that makes you believe that you're low, and says that in our system, the person who is low is the first. See, in our culture, those who are first will be last, and those who are last will be first. It's circular. In our culture, that's why the poor will be with you always, which means that we always set up part of the tithe. When you grow your own food, you're supposed to make sure that you have 10% of it for people who need it. So this year, anything that I grow, 10% has to go to the community. If I grow 10 tomato vines, that means one of them I can't eat from. And watch this, it's got to be the first. It's got to be the best out of the 10. Right? How can you relieve pain? I don't know what kind of pain it is or where it stems from. You can feel free to contact my wife, and you can reach us at the number that's about to come up. So we thank you guys for listening in. We appreciate you all. We're going to get ready to do our shout out here on TikTok. Thank you those who are on YouTube as well. And if you're catching this from another device with us, we appreciate you. Hopefully you've learned some things about that come with this invitation. And we invite you to come out of it. Guam Yashada. Time to rise up, rise out of the abyss, rise out of the ashes, rise out of the water. And it's time to be better. It's time to be greater. I thank you all for your time. I appreciate you. And you know what I appreciate you for? I appreciate you that you want to become the greatest version of yourself. Because if you do that and we all come together as puzzle pieces, that means that once we lock up, your greatness has to affect me. And prayerfully, I can only prayerfully say that my greatness continues to affect you or affect you in a righteous manner. But we're going to affect each other and pull on each other and love one another. So thank y'all. We appreciate you. Those who are on YouTube, feel free to get stuff from us in the description. Those of you on TikTok, you can look on our main TikTok channel and click on the link tree for more information about stuff. Also, though, you can simply, if you like to, you can simply just stay on, be part of the shout out. Music is going to play here at the end. I know there's going to be some sound because we're outside, but music will play at the end. And if you'd like to be able to listen into the music and be able to shout out some things, oh, thank you for the love, appreciate it. Feel more than free to do so. Okay. But we thank you all. We honor the King, Queen, each and every one of you. But Allah Cham Yahava, please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we appreciate you guys so very much. So we're going to go ahead and get into the kingdom, get into the shout out at the end, information about classes, Patreon, different things that we're doing, and all that will pop up. Don't forget, meet up for Jordan. We're going to send the information out. If you haven't gotten it already, we're going to send the information out to you wherever you might be. So check your DMs if you're on TikTok, or check your Google Calendar invite. You might even get a text, depending however we're able to make the stuff work. But just look for your information, or look for some information to be out there for the meetup. Those who are in Florida, everybody in Florida, we're looking at doing a Zoom meetup at 11 a.m. On a Zoom meetup at 11 a.m. for Florida. No SOC meeting this week because of us traveling and things like that. But thank you. We appreciate you. As I'm getting ready to play the music, the wind wants to show off, but that's okay. We pray that you'll be able to hear what you need to hear, get what you need to get. And we appreciate your presence once again. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken, until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility to be in front of you all again. We want you to remember, as always, just love, that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace. Hopefully you enjoy the music. And as the music starts playing, feel free to shout out where you're from. We'd love to be able to hear from you.